for an incredible week as we look forward for much more ahead. Karibu Sana will be discussing more on matters politics, and also will delve deep into apple farming. Ever thought that this could be done in the country? Well, this will be a conversation that you do not want to miss out on. An incredible moment right here in on Morning Cafe as always. My name is Linda Alela. We kickstart the program as of course we take a look at what has been captured on the papers, what my team has worked on, and so much. So we welcome your feedback. It's always good to hear from you, and we get to sample some of the comments as we proceed with the show. That is, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KA. I'm glad to have you this morning, and yes, my director is laughing at that. I mean, it's a morning, so sometimes you get these tongue twisters. And so, as always, we have so much lined up for you. Let's briefly look at what the papers have to say. The front page of the Daily Nation. All right, here we go. And the first story, Laboso's widower entangled with the law. Former governor's sister wants to block him in a property wrong. And that is a story captured on page 8. It's going to be an interesting twist. You can always grab a copy and get to understand what this is all about. Cancer Day, 16% of Kenyans likely to get cancer before they reach 75. Study reveals it is the day, it is today. And so it is important that we get to learn of this situation. And of course, as captured on page 10 and 11 of the Daily Nation, extensively expounded even as we get to commemorate this special day. Away from it, the biggest story, Sonko staring at a long prison term and all stops. State is determined to put him behind bars. Whether Mike Sonko, a politician who beat all odds on his way to the top before the tumbling down, has finally run out of the proverbial 9 lives of a cat, will be known in the coming days. That is a story captured on page 3, and you can grab a copy. You've seen what he's been treated to, and what, of course, most of his supporters and the people, his family members himself have been treated to in the past few days in regards to the numerous court battles that he is faced with. And so the embattled former governor, of course, will be facing it rough, or so to speak. And so we'll be looking at this. We follow up on this particular story to give you more updates, of course, now standing at the committee prison. And away from it, Kemsa ghosts return. How do they return? This is a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. Speaks of firms and individuals that benefited from flawed COVID-19 procurement at Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, and now they will be forced to return the excess cash they were paid, because then after all, these processes have to continue to the companies that they tendered with, despite the fact that all these anomalies happened or played out. Because in regards to the laws and of course the agreements that were in existence, there's no way you run away from that, as captured on the back page. Disquiet over new jobs, decision by the government to recruit cadet inspectors even as thousands of graduate officers await promotions, has not gone down well with the senior officers. Also a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. And so much, of course, of discrepancies will always be witnessed in such scenario of the recruitment processes. And away from it, Nyanzi flees to Nairobi. Ugandan academic and fierce critic of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, crossed into Kenya on a Saturday. She says life in Uganda is unbearable. That is a story captured on 27. Such has been known for the critics of course, Museveni. It's not always rosy for them. And so it's a developing story. We'll be looking at that. To some bit of more on politics, Ruto takes on Uhuru allies as he fights back. And on matters BBI, Raila leads by example in Siaya, as of course the MCAs in this particular home county yesterday unanimously proceeded to vote the Building Bridges initiative through, and so it becomes the first county assembly to have this document sail through. What does it mean for the progress of this document is also a question of wait and see. The Standard newspaper, not so clear, but then again we see what we can do in regards to it. As we get it all clear, let's briefly look at what the People Daily has to say. And yes, here we are with the People Daily. How Moi prepared family for his afterlife, page 5, as many would have argued, probably they would expect so much tussle in regards to the numerous wealth that the former had amassed. It looks like it is all rosy and good at his place, and his children, his family is able to, just ensure that they take care of this wealth, and importantly they share accordingly. Of course, it's a story that will be of interest. You can get to grab your copy and get it on page 5. But away from it, what made Nyachai not forgive Right Honorable Raila Odinga? A close confidant of the fallen Ford leader or Ford people leader opens up on his fabulous wealth, fears, and a personal political betrayal that he will take to his grave. It's an interesting story also, as captured on page 6. You can grab a copy and get to understand some more of that. Why Kemsa Lords will still pocket 6.2 billion. That is also an interesting one. Probably more of a twist of what it is that has been captured on the Daily Nation. But then again, it's going to be a season of anger in the Assembly. And of course, Legal Position Solicitor General tells Nation Assembly Committee that the government's hands are tied, and that much as the COVID-19 tenders were illegal, they have to pay the suppliers in accordance with the law. Of course, these payments, as they proceed, probably that's where then some individuals get to pocket some more, or better yet, of course, it's going to be a challenge for them. We look forward to see what plays out in regards to this, even as we talk of a scenario where the vaccine is coming into the country, and the biggest question then would be just how legit will the processes of getting the vaccine be. And away from it, CIMC is the first to approve BBI proposal. I have touched on that. The bill now requires 23 more assemblies to endorse if the country can go to a referendum. And Sonko stares at 30 days in custody over terror charges. Also, those pictures that were there making headlines or going rounds the social media platforms, I'm certain that you must have seen them at some point. Sonko was detained as faces terror charges. That is on page 2. And also that story of Museveni fierce critic Stella Nyanzi, who sneaks into Kenya for asylum. And of course, that is more like it on the papers. We still have so much in store for you. I'm still trying to get a hold of what it is that the Standard newspaper has, in as much as it looks like it's not giving me a clear picture. Let's briefly look at that, but more or less the same stories that have been captured on these other papers. And here we are with the Standard newspaper. Let's see. Well, I guess there's really not much need to, of course, focus on getting this. We'll do that as we delve deep into understanding the papers. And now it's time that we cross over to a different conversation altogether in regards to what it is that my team has prepared. I can see we already have Fred Okangor on standby, and we're looking forward to have a great conversation alongside Nambali Member of Parliament, Bunyasi Sakwa. We're also expecting to get a hold of the former Speaker for Nairobi, Beatrice Elachi, and also we'll be having Kassim Tandao, who's a Member of Parliament. That should be later on as we get to proceed to looking at, the newspapers in depth, and importantly, looking at what it is that we'll be discussing in regards to the economy and how well we've done in terms of getting it to equilibrium. This is what is captured on the Standard newspaper. Inside States plan to tame politicians. Whether they're going to be successful on this or not is a question of wait and see. Just to note is that there's been so much, castigating of how the state has handled some of these things. And this is one of the things that have been put to question, that in as much as we have politicians out there and theirs is to politic, they have failed to address the needs of the people of Kenya. They have gotten their priorities wrong, and so they always go out there campaigning, yet much needs to be done in terms of development. And of course, remembering Mzee Moi and CIA leaders out there to push for BBI, which they have done so well, being the first assembly to proceed and support this document. That is what is on the Standard newspaper, and it's exactly 6:29 in the morning. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll be coming back with more on the papers and the discussion.
Agriculture being the engine of economic growth in Kenya, Richer Fields aims to educate, entertain, and take you round the world of rich fields when it comes to matters agriculture and agribusiness.
It's 800 shillings per kg.
Where?
Almost 100% profit.
We take you to the world of organic living,
Some people say organic is boring. It's actually not boring.
strawberry farming, and so much more. Richer Fields coming soon on TV 47. On the grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories and so much more every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Pain, discomfort, and sleepless nights. These are just but a few of the things we go through on a daily that deteriorate our health. Body Garage is here to remind you on how to love and care for your body's health.
Finding our balance. Don't worry, you'll fully come back again.
Self-care and love is the best gift you can give. Tune in every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. On Coffee with Movie, we bring you great testimonies from amazing personalities.
Mwanzo wa kwanza alikaa ndani, ilikuwa intense cause alikuwa yeye alikuwa atafuta place atawaka afanye pesi zake.
Stories that will inspire and encourage you.
Hiyo kitu ilisha wasoni clap. Sheila told us this is what we've been looking for.
And some that will even make you laugh out loud.
You have chapa kawa ya kutuliza temperature kabla ya hiyo story.
Na wewe hukuleta mandazi bro.
Mbona ingeandikwa coffee and mandazi?
Make sure you catch the episodes of Coffee with Movie every Sunday at 8 p.m. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is the month of love.
When you're loved truly, every grain of your personality changes.
Ooh.
A great time to add more fire to your love life.
Why not have a journey before the climax rather than always thinking about the climax?
With great insights from our panelists.
It ought to start during the day. Ikifika pale jioni, sasa flirting ndio inafika kilele. Yeah, that is when now you go for your beautiful dress.
And spice to your relationship. Only on the Garden of Eden. Every Wednesday from Agriculture being the engine of economic growth in Kenya, Richer Fields aims to educate, entertain, and take you round the world of rich fields when it comes to matters agriculture and agribusiness.
It's 800 shillings per kg.
Where?
Almost 100% profit.
We take you to the world of organic living,
Some people say organic is boring. It's actually not boring.
strawberry farming, and so much more. Richer Fields coming soon on TV 47. On the grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories
being
and so
the
much.
first, to proceed and endorse this document, we probably expect the others to follow suit after the key leaders spoke to the members of county assemblies who've been looked at as instrumental, and not just being looked at because, I mean, constitutionally they are really instrumental in seeing this document sail through. So we'll be having that conversation later on alongside Honorable Bunyasi Sakos, the Member of Parliament Nambale. He's set to join us in a few. Kasim Sawa Tandaza, Member of Parliament Matuga, of course, he will be joining us via Skype. And we have Beatrice Elachi, former Speaker of Nairobi, who will also be joining us via Skype. And lastly, Fred Okango, who's already here, Secretary General, Third Way Alliance. So it's going to be a conversation that you do not want to miss out on. And we welcome your feedback. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KA. We'd love to hear what you have to say in regards to this. But before we get to that, it is only fair that we take a brief look of what it is that the papers have captured. And I think I will be looping in Fred, who's here already on standby, so that we can go through the papers together and expound some more on what has been captured. And of course, this in regards to memory of Moi and Nyachai, we probably do not need to get deep into those ones, but this one is of great interest to us. Why KEMSA Lords will still pocket about 6.2 billion and anger in the Assembly as sane legal position. So Lister General tells National Assembly that the committee, the government's hands, the government's hands are tied, and that much as the COVID-19 tenders were not properly done, well, to pay the suppliers is in accordance with the law, and there's nothing they can do to run away from that. There's so much revolving around the KEMSA scandal, but then again, really, we've not been able to get answers to that. President Uhuru Kenyatta giving a maximum of around 21 days for us to get answers, but so far, nothing.
Thank you, Linda. I think this is an issue that is of concern to majority of Kenyans, given that it's public money that is allegedly misappropriated. But having said that, there are quite a number of areas that we are likely to see the same challenges in terms of public procurement. And it requires changes in some of the laws in public procurement so that we just fix the issues right from the word go. If you look at some of the proposals, we need to have a harmonized rate for paying all suppliers. And if you look at the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, that provision has been amended in Article 230 that SRC shall now ensure that that is done. So all the county suppliers, national government suppliers, there will be a rate, because it's not only KEMSA. The cost of a biro pen in Muranga could be very different from the cost of a biro pen in Homa Bay County. And just a biro pen from a manufacturer. And that means the cost of a biro pen could also be different from that is being supplied in one of the ministries in the national government. When you look at that, it means there are disparities, and people mark them up for one or two reasons, and those are the loopholes that provide for avenues for corruption. In the KEMSA story, it's even unfortunate because this is a time when people are having a challenge with the pandemic. And the expectation is that whoever is providing the services that are geared towards ensuring that Kenyans are cushioned, the doctors have got the equipment to enable them to do the job, the nurses and all health workers provided services. The services were procured by government. But when this matter was taken through the Parliamentary Committee for Investigation and they invited the relevant authorities that were involved, there were revelations that probably some of the procurements were not done in accordance with the existing public procurement laws. But here is the government position that, they are going to pay irrespective, because the problem was not with the supplier. The problem was with the procurement person, who is the government. Now, as bad as it sounds, or as good as it sounds, depending on which side of argument you'd want to sit in, this was a pandemic. And a pandemic did not advertise its arrival, did not announce its arrival. It found us here. Then we needed to do as a people and as a country whatever we could do at that time to ensure that we secure our people fast and fast. That happened. And therefore I think that's why the Solicitor General in his argument is arguing that while the procedure might not have been the procurement might not have been procedural at that time because it was a pandemic, let's first of all consider the supplier who provided this service pay them, and then we deal with this. But I think in the long term, it is important in the long term to ensure that we seal all these loopholes. And I am glad that the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 is now looking at all suppliers in the national government and in the county government, and is harmonizing and rationalizing the rates that will be paid to these professional suppliers and consultants, so that we don't have a situation where another county buys internet services at the cost of 5 million and the other buys it at the cost of 100,000. That is theft.
All right, and the discrepancies are huge enough, of course. And when you speak about that, how soon is this likely to happen as we close on it? I mean, we know the vaccine is just about to get into the country, and such processes would probably be incorporated for us to get these vaccines. Do you have any fears, or should we have any fears that as such, or there would be a replica of the same?
As an individual, I don't think I have any fear, because you see, as a people also, we must trust our government. I know the government has had challenges in various ways, but as citizens who are responsible and believe that they can also support their government, because now we are talking about what you can do for your government, not only what your government can do for you. So we are saying we must now start also trusting the system, trusting the government to deliver to us and help it deliver to us. This vaccine has been given in other countries. There are testimonials. And I remember the other time the government was saying that over 40% of Kenyans will receive it free. And then there was also reports that some of the Kenyans will receive it at the cost of 700 shillings. I want to believe, and this is my request, that the government should try as much as possible to deliver or to administer this vaccine to all Kenyans at a no cost. Because even that 700 could be a challenge to get at this time when we are experiencing economic meltdown. And I want to urge the people of Kenya, while we have seen challenges with this government and even previous governments, we must now start to trust, and we must now help the government to ensure that they do the right thing by speaking out, by offering solutions, but not just by making noise.
All right, well, and we now have Honorable Beatrice Elachi and Honorable Kasim Sawa, as mentioned earlier on, joining us via Skype. Ladies and gentlemen, karibu sana, and thank you for your time this morning. You've heard what we are discussing, or what we're looking at in regards to what has been captured on the papers and why KEMSA Lords will still pocket 6.2 billion. And it's the conversation that has been ongoing. Not much has been established out of the KEMSA scandal, but I mean, of great fear is what is likely to culminate in future. And as Fred would put it, it is proper that we have some level of confidence, in how the government is set to handle some of the processes that are to come in future. Just how confident can we get in the event that we have these conversations, that in as much as we all acknowledge that money was lost, we have nothing to do but to ensure that the suppliers are paid, yet the perpetrators, yet the alleged individuals are still walking scot-free. Beatrice.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning. I think one of the things that we need to ask ourselves this morning is that this is not the first time we are going to go through any corruption cases in terms of people being given a duty by the president trusting you in an institution, and at the end of the day, we just lose money. I mean, water is life. We lost Kimorel and Aro, just like that, in fact. And so for KEMSA, definitely we were expecting, if you have not dealt with the first ones, and which were very sad and critical. How are you going to deal with KEMSA when KEMSA will be telling you, fine, we supplied. The issue is the prices. And then the solution of all this, I think my brother Okango has just talked about it, that I've always said we need in this country to start now adjusting and agreeing as government. If you want to supply in government should put minimum of prices across board of products that they wish people to supply it. So that you are within that. And there's a reason why you'll say, why did I go for the maximum and why did I go for the minimum? And when we had the tendering process, is it open that you would see it online? I mean, I've also, government should just, Safaricom does everything online. That if you start putting on a tender for Safaricom, at one point, if you don't put in the right document, it just blocks you. And I don't know why government doesn't do that, so that people who win tenders in government, and I think the president has been saying, can we be able to ensure we name them or we gazette them, or gazetting is normally done, by the way. So it put it in the papers that this company has received this tender and this tender with government, and therefore people will know that you are supplying to government, which is okay, but you will supply quality. And so, and also, why can't we just have a bill in Parliament? This bill has to cure these percentages that people put on top when they are tendering. Oh, we were lobbying OCG, we were this, the agencies. Put a percentage within. That if you have a tender of this amount, there must be a percentage of that. So, and that's what people do in the US. But it's not that. And that's how you curb the issue of 10%, 20%. Yes, and you put it at 2.5%, maximum 3 or 5, depending how huge this tender is. So for me, in government, until we agree to have systems, really, we will continue just saying, I mean, every day waking up and talking about it, then what? Then what? Then people come use it in a very angered manner, and they start saying, oh, you see this, the thieves of this. Who cares? Kenyans nowadays, they have realized you put in 10,000 WhatsApps, it doesn't accumulate into money anyway, so they don't care. So we have to change also and realize.
All right.
Yes, and realize that people have reached an attitude of, I'm going to do it, after all, speak and finish and we move on.
Well, Honorable Elashi, this then would beat the argument or the proposal, or some of the examples that we probably are projecting here that would come in handy as solutions, looking at what it is that Fred speaks about, and the fact that you'd have the people getting the confidence in government to streamline some of these. I can remember that we've been discussing this in the longest time possible, and I know we cannot shun away from that. But then again, just how much more needs to be done for us to get to realize this, if we acknowledge that indeed much needs to be done to straighten the structures and the systems. Honorable Sawa, it is pretty much unfortunate, so to speak, and as it stands today, the economy is not in the best of place. So when we see some of these cases brought to the fore and really nothing much done in terms of getting answers or in terms of having individuals getting to face the hands of the law courtesy of what it is that they probably did that wasn't proper, I mean, it just gets us to a point of saying that maybe we are not capable of dealing with this.
Thank you very much. From where I sit, the problem with corruption in Kenya is more of political. In fact, it's just political. It's not about systems. Because at the end of the day, even with the systems, you will still have to have somebody to go over whatever is in that system. We saw it even during the last general election, which was meant to be purely electronic, but it never happened. So, to me, it's very easy, but it would mean starting from the top. If the chief CEO of this country just wakes up one day and says, enough with corruption, then be it whoever is seen to be corrupt, especially in the public service, action is taken, and this is dismissal. we can go to court later.
Okay.
But we start with dismissal. Then I think this whole issue of corruption will end. It actually starts from the top.
But how fair will that be when we talk of a scenario of what is enshrined on the laws of the land, that you are only, or you are always like 100% innocent until you're proven guilty? Should we reverse the same?
No, I think at one point, if we are to slay this this dragon of corruption, somehow we'll have to start from a point of some sensible quality dictatorship. We've seen it with our neighbors here in Tanzania, so to speak. The laws, I believe, are still the same. I don't think in Tanzania you are guilty before proven. It is still the same law. But once you show that will, sometimes, it's all about perception. The moment those civil servants, the moment those in high offices know that the chief CEO does not tolerate this, and he shows it in public with a few examples, I'm sure the others will just take you.
All right.
From the top, it goes to the judiciary, it goes to the investigating officers who are appointed by the CEO, appointed by the government. If you see that he's not doing his work, since it is within your powers to fire him, fire 4 or 5 of them, and I think the others will take you. That is to me, that's where we will start from.
All right.
And then that
yes.
is about us, the public, ourselves.
Okay.
Of course, we glorify corruption. But to me, the starting point, let's start with the chief CEO firing those who he knows are quite corrupt.
Okay, we drop on that one. One of the reasons why we have delved some more on it is because, key as to the conversation that we'll have this morning will also be revolving around the economy, and as captured on page 4, still devolved units to receive shareable revenue from next week, and that is after it has been tough for them, like 4 months or so, having tried their level best to keep the counties afloat. I mean, how this gets to the counties and whether indeed the money will get on time and how handy it will come is equally a question of wait and see. We'll be looking at that as we proceed. Senator Gideon Moi has proved critics wrong. This is in regards to his political moves on Nyachai also, and court reinstates suspended LSK council members. It's been a battle, here and there. We just do not understand what is happening within the corridors of justice. If it is not a battle within the courts and the executive, then before you know it, it is the LSK and so much. So judiciary also differs the implementation of resolutions made during chaotic special general meetings last month. Is the LSK serving the purpose, or it has now turned out to be a whole different thing of more of civil action figures as opposed to serving the purpose?
I think the courts exist to offer solution to the problems that, or the challenges that are facing the public out here. And that's why people run to court whenever they feel that there's an issue that they need addressed or sorted. And it is within everyone's right in this republic to seek redress from the courts. And therefore, there's nothing strange about court giving orders, court reinstating, suspending, that is normal. However, in terms of leadership, I think societies, institutions, in terms of their management, there need to be a paradigm shift, particularly in the people involvement. I don't want to get into issues of LSK because some of those things are before court of competent jurisdiction. But the issue is on management of institutions. And we have seen it from schools, the government, county governments, and we have seen it even with members of parliament, how they manage their affairs, So for me, I think what we need to look at now is how do we manage our institutions? How do we manage people? How do people manage us? How do we work with people? How do we make decisions? Because in decision making, you must involve the people. And if the people are not involved, and involving the people does not mean involve 5-2, involve the entire people by way of ensuring that there is a representation so that you don't come out with a decision that is made and then it is overturned at the end of the day because for 1 or 2 reasons, there are people who feel that they were never involved. Number 2, in terms of doing the right thing, Linda, I'll tell you, we have seen situations where in this country, institutions do the wrong thing and then they make it look like it is right because they have done the wrong thing for so long. Now it is right. I think we need to move away from that. We have to ensure that the right thing is done. I'll give an example. You saw the elections of LSK. They were contested for the president of LSK, and some of the contestants promised to put up a new brave bar. Yeah. Some of them said we'll change the way things are working. But after that, we are looking at an institution that has been the pillar of legal discourse in this country. And today, most of the people are looking at it and saying, no, this is not the LSK we used to know, or the people used to know. So when people start talking like that, it means that this expectation they had, and they're not seeing that expectation coming to reality, and therefore they criticize. And when criticism comes in, negative criticism kills institutions. And that's what I'm saying. It is about management, and sometimes about the perception that people have about your institution. Yes. If they have very bad perception about your leadership, about your institution, then that institution breaks down from the word go.
Okay, well, the level of activism that has been witnessed is one of the key things that has put this particular institution into question. But we drop that into some bit of politics as we close on the papers. Ruto starts a coast tour to drum up support ahead of a 2022 dual. Siaya, first county to pass BBI draft law, and the likes of Mohisa Kitui quit UNCTAD to proceed and register their interest to become the president in the country. What do you make of all these political moves as it is? And of course, just a polite reminder of what it is that is playing out in the life of former governor of Nairobi, that is Mike Sonko. It seems like it's not going well with him, Elachi.
Well, let me just, as I start with LSK, I think one of the things I want to plead with LSK is that this is an institution that we have indeed respected for many years, and that sits in every institution in this country. And there's a reason why you find even the Constitution appreciates that LSK has to sit in very critical institutions so that you can guide and give legal background. And the other thing is that they need to come out and understand. And I'm really wishing the lawyers also can understand that everything is not just a battle. Sometimes you can use negotiations, dialogue to come out of some things. It's not litigation. And it's what they have been. It has become very legalistic institution, which is very sad for the country. But then now when we come to now the political temperatures that we are seeing and what we are seeing in terms of, I've seen Kisa Kitui has now resigned. He's welcome to come, and it is his right. I'll say that. But then when I look at now the real political tensions that we have, it is really, really something that we need to be very cautious. But I remember in 2007, it started like this. It was 18 months to an election where people refused to have tolerance to each other, to appreciate that it is politics. And in the end of the day, we will just be brothers and sisters, and we move on. It starts the way we have started, a narrative of saying these ones have this, these ones do not have. That is going to bring this country.
Let's fix your audio. I'm not able to get you well. And as we get to fix your audio, or Madam Elachi's audio, I think it's only fair that we take a quick break. We fix that and then we come back, expound briefly on the papers, wind up on that particular subject, and get to the conversation of the day.
Agriculture being the engine of economic growth in Kenya. Richer Fields aims to educate, entertain, and take you round the world of rich fields when it comes to matters agriculture and agribusiness.
It's 800 shillings per kg.
Where?
Almost 100% profit.
We take you to the world of organic living.
Some people say organic is boring. It's actually not boring.
Strawberry farming, and so much more. Richer Fields, coming soon on TV 47. On the grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories and so much more every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Pain, discomfort, and sleepless nights. These are just but a few of the things we go through on a daily that deteriorate our health. Body Garage is here to remind you on how to love and care for your body's health.
Finding our balance. Don't worry, you'll finally come back again.
Self-care and love is the best gift you can give. Tune in every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. On Coffee with Movie, we bring you great testimonies from amazing personalities.
So wa kwanza alikaa ndani ilikuwa intense cause alikuwa alikuwa atafuta place atawaka akifanya thesis zake.
Stories that will inspire and encourage you.
Hiyo kitu ilisha waswa ni clap. Sheila told us this is what we've been looking for.
And some that will even make you laugh out loud.
You have chapa kawa ya kutuliza temperature kabla hiyo story.
Na wewe kuleta mandazi bro.
Umeona ingeandikwa coffee and mandazi.
Aya!
Make sure you catch the episodes of Coffee with Movie every Sunday at 8 p.m. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is the month of love.
When you're loved truly, every grain of your personality changes.
Ooh.
A great time to add more fire to your love life.
Why not have a journey before the climax rather than always thinking about the climax?
With great insights from our panelists.
Realistic, some of the proposals that are incorporated in this document in terms of, cushioning the economy are, and of course we get to understand the mechanisms of the same as we proceed with the conversation. But before we get to the conversation, I think it's only fair that we allow Honorable Elachi, finish on the point that she was making before we also get the view of Honorable Kasim. And now we proceed to the conversation. I already have a Member of Parliament, Nambale Sakwa Bunyasi, who joins us this morning. But before we introduce him or we get to see him, let's come back to the papers. Honorable Elachi.
Yes, and I was just saying that when we look at the political temperatures that we have, this is something we need to stand now as a country and just say no, that we must have political tolerance, that we must appreciate, and we must stop using words to incite. We must stop to use burials, for heavenly sake, to use them as rallies. This is not going to be it becomes very sad when you find young people fighting to each other. And the most thing that politicians should be asking themselves is when you go to an area and then you leave people, their kiosks are damaged, people have all the properties, everything is gone, you have left that person as a hustler. Yet you find him doing his own small job, employing other small people. Now, the moment you leave there, and you come and give us a slogan and call others, we must ask why our people in such helplessness.
Right.
It is because some of the years that have passed, we have pushed people as political leaders to a level where people lost their property, people lost everything. What do you expect that person to be? when we have not given a solution. When our country is 2 years, you look for economy, you build that economy. 3 years, you destroy that economy. That is what we do in this country for the last 27 or 28 years. Building an economy for 2 years, destroying it in 3 years. And we start on again.
All right, and as the hustler train finds its way to the coast, Honorable Sawa, I know you people are on standby. I don't know how you look at this and what you make of it and whether you think they're going to make any gains. But I mean, away from that, even as we talk about the politics, a story captured on the Standard newspaper, the front page is that inside the state's plan to tame politicians and all-out war alarmed by rising tensions, government rolls out multi-agency strategy to stop inciters in their tracks. Remember that list of shame by NCIC, and they say if you appear on this list of shame like twice, then sadly enough, you will not be allowed to take any seat in the country. What do you make of this, and just how successful is the state likely to be, knowing that we've spoken about intolerance for quite a while now?
Thank you. I think we've had this conversation previously about the institutions, especially which came up in the 2010 Constitution. Unfortunately, it has been talk and no action. I don't think there'll be any difference this time from the NCIC, learning from the previous experience. But having said that, I think I will still take it to the top, that is the president himself, because he appoints the heads of these institutions from DCI to DPP to those commissions. And sometimes you wonder probably whether the process is really worth that effort, whether they are appointed on merit or it's also a political
You have the president categorically stating that it's important we tame ourselves, because if it is about firing shots, then I mean every other person has ways of doing that, and so if it is that route that we all choose, it won't be very good. So if this is coming from the president, I mean, it's proper for us to just acknowledge the fact that yes, peace begins with us, security begins with us?
That is true, but you see, saying with no action actually does not help. We've had him say, everybody says, the NCIC says, the DPP says it's going to act, but after that, nothing. I think that is where the problem is. No action from all the other institutions which are tasked to deal with this menace. So I think henceforth, some action has to be taken, not just the normal talk that we've always had previously. And if this continues, then I think what Beatrice is saying, Honorable Beatrice is saying, will come to pass. It is going to be quite unfortunate that we are going back to the same cycle where after every 5 years, we destroy our economy, we destroy our lives, we go back to square zero. And this must continue. Probably then, with the new document, the BBI, with some mention that it is also trying to cure that menace. Let it come to pass also and see. Otherwise, with the same institutions, with the same talk, with the same warnings, I don't think there'll be any difference.
All right, so as we drop that now let's get to the conversation. And now that you mentioned the BBI, we kickstart from there. Siaya first county to pass BBI draft law. Members of the county assembly deny using BBI to blackmail government to give them car grants. How genuine is that, and how realistic is this in terms of the finances at a time when what it is that Fred spoke about, that we've been battling with COVID-19, it's been tough at the level of the health sector. And so when some of the people look at these moves by the key leaders, then they put question marks as to what really our priorities are. And Honorable Bunyasi Sakwa is here with us. Mheshimiwa, good to have you.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. We've taken the conversation a little bit, well, so to speak, halfway, and here we start on the actual one on matters BBI at the level of the county. This is a story also that has been captured on all the papers. Historic move also, CIA proceeding to, have this document sail through. Probably, as many would term it, Baba loyals are always loyals, so to speak, and so eyes are on Mount Kenya as to whether indeed after that Ghana meeting much will come out in terms of, ensuring that this document sails through.
Yeah, indeed. I don't think it's a surprise at all that CIA has approved or that it's the first one. But I guess that's the nature of the BBI. There are those adherents and who work closely with the proponents, and so that is going to, I think, to be the pattern across the country. I'm yet to see, so when you get legal institutions like the assemblies, who are supposed to be, or National Assembly or County Assembly, to be reflective on this, even if they are in favor, allow a debate that explores the issues from the perspective of approving it. And if that is not happening, you can see that the way our the political depth around this is not very high. So, but it's good that for those who want to come out and say, yes, why waste time? Go ahead, let us do it.
All right, well, go ahead and just do it. And well, this car grant thing has really, raised temperatures. I don't know whether we should really delve into that, but again, it's just the reality of the politics of handouts that we are used to playing, that, the members of county assemblies were eagerly waiting for this moment so they can also, dish out their demands.
Thank you, Linda. I'd want to dwell more on the processes at the county assemblies.
But we do not run away from this.
But on the issue of car grants, I think the members of county assembly are state officers.
Yes.
Just like any other state officers, there's some entitlements that they have, and they can be provided for within the constitutional and legal framework that exists. And therefore, that matter, we shall leave it at that for me. Now, I have seen people argue about the issue of Siaya, how the debate took place. While it is true that Raila Odinga, as a BBI principal, comes from Siaya, it's also true that he has immense support in Siaya.
Yes.
But also there are certain facts about popular initiative as a bill and the stages that it goes through. And you're going to see that this week, many of them. We are likely to see I'm projecting by probably end of next week, over 10 counties assemblies shall have passed the bill. Now, this is the issue that your viewers must know. Any popular initiative, the issue of public participation starts from the general propositions when the public give their views, and it goes ahead to the formulation of those views into a bill. Now, the moment the public endorses the bill, and in this case you have seen registered voters endorse that bill in accordance with the provisions of 257, that is another level of public participation. The other level of public participation is when now it goes to the county assemblies, where the county assemblies are required to consider that bill within the 90 days. The last stage of public participation will be the referendum, where the public will make a final say. But here's the deal. When you look at all these debates and arguments, was it done? Was it given enough time? Was it subjected through the stages? I would say yes, because in this country, first of all, we don't have a Public Participation Act.
Yes.
But the route through a popular initiative is a secure route to the extent that it has got inbuilt public participation, and I've explained where it starts and where it ends, and all these. But the Constitution also mandates the county assemblies to facilitate public participation in their legislation, and that is provided for in Article 186. And if you read it, they shall facilitate. Now, go to the County Government Act, Section 20, subsection 1. It also says that they shall do public participation, and they can invite those views through memorandum, public debates, emails, and there's so many ways.
Right.
That one alone is another level of public participation. Now, in my view, the only thing that is required of the county assembly members is to look at the bill, approve or reject on its merits or demerits.
Okay.
Remember, the county assembly are not allowed to even change a comma, even add a comma to this bill. And to that extent, the level of public participation is limited. The Attorney General of this country has given an opinion. Yes. In his opinion, as requested by the county of Kericho, Nandi, and Makueni, and he did say that In doing public participation, the law allows the county assembly members to facilitate the public participation.
Allow me to come in, and I know you'll expound some more on that as we proceed. But when we say, and we are acknowledge the fact that yes, the role of public participation then becomes limited in this case, reality it is that it is necessary. And the likes of CIA, members of county assembly have come out to justify how the processes of public participation were conducted in their respective county. But then again, we come to the fact that there have been complaints for the longest of time that the public has actually not had the chance to, properly have a copy of this document or have copies of this document circulating at their disposal. The other day, I hosted members of county assemblies who acknowledged that in Central itself, has been a hullabaloo because these people have not read the document. So in this case, just how much of public participation would come in?
You see, Linda?
Let's allow Honorable Kasim to come in, and then you want to say something briefly, and then we allow him to come in, or we allow him to come in first?
Okay.
Because he's in Malindi, and I mean at that particular level, probably he's engaged people to just get to know whether they have looked into the document first before we even talk about public participation, which is actually a process that comes first before even people getting deep into the document. Honorable Kasim?
Thank you. You see, I'll pick it from the issue of public participation. To me, the issue of public participation will be important if you are going to do an amendment. You are going to take into consideration the views that you are going to take. But from where I sit, and I think that's the right position, where in this bill, nothing can be done into it. I think even listening into views and recording them and whatever will not change that. You are not going to incorporate, you're not going to add anything. So the issue here is to either vote yes or no. And from where I sit, the BBI debate has taken too long. It's part of the reason why the political temperatures are rising. So the faster it is passed from the county assemblies, the better. For me, I would want it passed as early as yesterday, because for some of us from Coast, where we are strong proponents of inclusion, and the BBI having incorporated, at least strengthened inclusion by taking company to the county, I don't think we'll have a second to wait whether to pass it or not. The issue is just pass it. One, to strengthen the solution. Two, to pull this as this political temperature so that people can move on. We cannot be having the debate, the people debate over and over endlessly, bickering. We've said it before, this is like a oil, it's fading, but we burst it so that now we have the healing process. That will be my position.
Well, that's an interesting view right there, Honorable Elachi. This is a crucial document, and while we could be having proponents sitting here, I think it is only proper that it doesn't matter how long it takes, for as long as we get it right. We can not rush it just because we have a feeling that we should not be in this electioneering mode or in this, tense mode, or so to speak. It is only fair that we allow the people the chance to take, a chance to go through the document, understand it, so at least we do not rush into a document that will end up regretting.
Well, first of all, I think this is a document that has worked in the public for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about public participation, the question now will be, and you now, at that time, you need to quote the law. And if your question, you need to say, the law says you do public participation for 7 days, for 6 days, for 1 day. Then there you will be able to say, you can ask or question the county assemblies why they have not done public participation, or why they have done public participation, which I know CIA did, and did not finalize maybe the days, did go into Parliament, because Parliament can also sit and just reduce the days. The law allows that. So the public participation that we're talking about is public participation of what amount? And therefore, for me, I would say this. Number one, the county assemblies will go through public participation. They will inform the citizens of their wards, of their counties, ensure you put into the papers, which they did, CIA, come back, ensure you go into those ward levels, which is the lowest level in terms of the county, in terms of administration, in terms of giving services. And so if you can do in the 6 sub-counties of Siaya and you've gone to the wards, then I don't know what type of public participation we're talking. Because again, the law does not tell them, in your public participation, you must be 100 people, you must be 1 person, you must be, it doesn't. So for them, if 100 or 200 people come, then you have done your public participation. So before Kenyans question public participation, and those who are saying, the nays who are saying, oh, we don't need BBI, and question public participation, you need to come and tell us. Is it the numbers you're talking about? Is it the law that we have not followed, or what? But in terms of public participation, I think the county assemblies, especially the one of Siaya, it did public participation.
Honorable
You cannot question.
You had some reservations on this.
I mean, I think that too many generalities, and I have difficulty with that. The intent of public participation is that every critical stage there be public participation.
Yes.
I think it's misleading to say that in fact this document has been around for X period. This document that we are talking about is the one then that is submitted to the assembly. That had not been there before. There had been discussions around its design, its development. It has implications for public policy as everybody sees it. So people had views. But the public participation that is intended is that at the point at which a decision is being made, that there be views from other stakeholders other than those immediately involved on that particular step. Now we are talking about the document as, and I have not seen the document as submitted to the county assembly. That's the one that public participation discussions we are talking about. Not whether we participated last year or last month, because there have been changes, remember, from bombers and so on. So what you are asking people to is their view on that which is presented. It's true that it is take or leave it, and that you cannot do amendment. That's okay. But then the decision is even bigger. That you deliberate and you reject it in its entirety or accept it in its entirety. A very heavy decision, as opposed to that in which you can make incremental amendments and so on and so forth. The process that we are trying to bring forth now through the awaited approvals of counties, and if you reach the threshold 24, moves the process forward, is a heavy constitutional matter. It's a heavy decision in our political and legal history. And yes, we shall have, as I said earlier, we shall have those assemblies that are already convinced before the thing arrives. They will approve in a very quick time. We shall have those assemblies that may have difficulties. And the way it is, you may have difficulties in sections of it and you may like other sections of it. Then you are now asked, you're called upon to make the decision. In the main, in overall terms then, you like some, you hate some, you don't like some.
Yes.
Would you let it go as it is with those likes and dislikes? And some will say, yes, I'll let it go because I like this very much. Others will say, I won't let it go because I really dislike this aspect of it very much.
Yes.
That deliberation, that reflection is not a one-time thing. Now is the time that assemblies for the first time are going to see a document in black and white. Nobody in this country at any one time had seen the whole document, because it has been in continuous transition. It has been changing. When the public statements made that there will be no change, when actually there are people sitting to make changes, and they have. So now we know it for the first time, and that's what is before the assembly. And I think it's fair if an assembly decides, oh, we like this, don't worry, we're going to pass it before it arrives. That's a decision they would make, because maybe the sensitization in that area is such that people know these issues, they overall they like the document, they're going to approve it, period, or for any other reasons. And a very quick one on the 2 million shilling, whether it's a bribe or not. This entire system from the top, from the
grants.
The grant, yes. The cabinet secretaries, the principal secretaries, and senior officers, National Assembly members, and Senate, and so have all got grants.
Yes.
PSS get grants of about 14-15 million shillings each, and then they have many cars in the pool. It's the system. So I think that the issue of getting the grants at the assembly should not even be a presidential decision. It follows suit.
Okay.
If we want to clean it out, if we feel we shouldn't do that, if we feel we should go back to loans that are recoverable during that time, let it then be decided in its entirety. Government, the executive should do that, the assembly, the national one, the parliament and the county assemblies should all be subject to the same norms. You know, once you grant, they allow it to happen. So obviously, when you allow that, if there was a blockage at a time a decision is coming, you can link the two and say it's a bribe. I mean, that's logical. So just to conclude, I personally feel that this is a momentous moment, and the decisions require much deeper reflection than the very populist way we are doing this.
All right, allow us to loop in Honorable Elachi. Oh, okay. Well, we'll be getting a hold of her later on. Coming back to you, and you've heard what Mheshimiwa speaks of this, and you know, I'd say that I'm a few or amongst the few lucky ones to have probably seen the actual document, the one that you sent me. That I'd say that, well, I'd want to believe that that is the actual document, the 234-page document. And true to it is that I've also had conversations with people who are at the root and the heart of the BBI conversation, trying to push that at the Secretariat. And again, gotten documents that are totally different in a way, you know, in terms of the number of pages, in terms of what it is that has been incorporated. And therefore, Mheshimiwa is justified to argue that as of now, it is not even clear of what exactly, you know, we are having a conversation revolving around.
Linda, first of all, we must make things straight. Number one, this notion that it doesn't matter how long it takes, it matters. This is a constitutional process with constitutional timelines.
Yes.
The timelines that are required at the county assembly level is only 90 days. The constitution provision in Article 257 requires that they shall consider that bill within 90 days from the date it was submitted to them by IEBC. That started counting from 25th of January. They shall end that on 26th of April. Number two.
How many days? Okay, yes.
No, 90 days. Number two, public participation is a continuous process. It's not a one-day process. And that's why the BBI bill has taken a journey. And I want to tell you, this is just like the same way we did Punguza Mzigo. Because now, this is the issue. When the Constitution talk about the bill did not arrive as a bill. Yes. The bill arrived to that level as a general proposition. Then it was formulated by the promoters into a bill. So it therefore means that everything that is in that bill has been received from the general propositions that were in the report. Yes. Today, we are discussing the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 that has gone to the county assemblies. That is the document that we're discussing. And that is the document that the people at the ward level must now understand how is it going to affect them. And I agree with the Speaker Elachi when she says that it must go to the smallest unit. The smallest unit in this case is the ward level. Remember, they are going to be told that how is this bill proposing the achievement of the guarantees of socioeconomic rights in terms of providing water, social services, Medicare, electricity, and so on and so forth at the ward level. Remember, they live in a county. They're going to be explained to how increment of the equitable share of the county revenue from at least 50% to 35% will affect their lives in that county. And therefore, in my argument is very simple, that the bill has traveled. It has traveled from general proposition to a bill level. Number two, this bill is not just any other bill. This bill is a special bill. Yes. In county legislation, the bills that there are of two nature, and maybe even national in parliament, money bill or ordinary bill. But in this case, this is a special bill, and the clerk has defined the bill or as explained the bill as a special bill. The consideration that the BBI bill is going to receive, just like they did in the Punguza Mizigo bill, is a special consideration. Yes. Ordinarily, this bill should go through the first reading, where the bill is tabled, and the clerk reads the title of the bill, and then it's subjected, it's taken to the second reading, public participation, then committee stage, from committee stage, third reading, and then the next. But in this instance, because this bill has been published, and when somebody says that we don't know which bill it is, this bill has
And this
been
is not
published.
just somebody, but a member of parliament who's...
That member of parliament, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that that member of parliament is not conversant with the legislative framework. I mean, it's very unfortunate. But the issue here is, Linda, what the public must know, because your viewers are watching this, they want to understand and they want to know. This is what they should know. That bill has been published. The BBI bill has been published by the government printers. You have seen it. And that bill has been taken to the county assemblies. Now, the decision at the county assembly is a decision of a vote. And people are saying, let's give it time, let's have more people talk about it. The requirement at the assembly is that the decision shall be made by the members present and voting. And it is the simple majority. So in my view, if today the bill arrives at Homa Bay County, for example, and there are 20 members present and voting, those are the members that are going to make the decision on the bill. And it will carry majority on that basis. If 15 of them say yes, that's it. That is what the law says, not Okango.
Yes.
Then lastly, on this, we must understand that while we know, and it is a requirement that the public views must be considered. In fact, ordinarily, in a proper public participation, the final decision must capture the views of the public participant. But in this case, the issue is very clear, is that the bill cannot be amended, because if you amend it, it renders the 1 million threshold signatures moot. In fact, it defeats the purpose of a popular initiative, because that's why I'm saying the public participation in this process is inbuilt. It started from the day the promoters of the bill initiated a formulation in terms of proposition. That is when it started. So you cannot change anything. Ordinarily, if they were to be given a county assembly's time to amend, we are going to have 47 different bills. But the Constitution talk about bill, not bills. And therefore, I submit that it is important that the public understand. But the most important thing is, why are we doing public participation, Linda? We are doing public participation because the public must know that how is these propositions in this bill going to affect you as a citizen, and that is the nature of the public participation.
Just how much or what effect would this be, acknowledging the fact that, again, from where I started, people have not been able to get a hold of this document.
Linda, don't confuse the two issues.
Right.
We are talking about a bill.
Let alone the bill. That's why I say let alone the conversation that is within the bill.
That is true and not true also. Because when the promoters of the bill are doing public sensitization, they have been going with the documents.
Yes.
I saw in Sagana when the documents were given to people. I saw in Nyeri last year, December, the documents were supplied. I saw in Siaya when they were doing that.
Let's allow honorable.
No, wait. For me, it is that line is Tanga-Tanga-ish, if I may say. It is Linda Katiba-ish.
Which is proper, because then it raises a conversation that is important.
There's nothing wrong, but I'm just saying, because I've listened to that line and I've seen where it's coming from. The truth of the matter is,
it is not justified.
It is not. When you are conducting a public participation, you must come with a document that you are educating the public on. That document today is called Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020.
That raises the question then again on public participation and just how many people will be privy to this information.
I think we are even getting more confused on this issue. There's been information in the public domain, largely with the head, like they used to do with the Bible a long time ago. No congregants didn't read it. Largely by word of mouth, telling people what it is, and some of it for those who are able, more elitist people who are able to access it on the internet and have a little money, they have read the policy development documents. When for example, people were signing, there was the bill was some draft they said would not change, which has changed as a matter of fact. So what is legitimate is that as it is, as we speak now, what IBC released 10 days ago, I don't know how, a few days ago now, a week perhaps, what is now the document.
Correct.
Anything prior to that has been hearsay legally. Just been hearsay. It's a build up to that. Public participation does not then mean that when it comes, you look at it and say, yes, we agree with this because it will give us 25% more, 35% more. of the revenue come. If that is the major basis, and you say our elected leaders, when you go back to the assembly, you should approve this. We allow you to go ahead. In that word, you tell your representative, you go ahead, approve it, we like it as your constituents in this ward. And in the totality, the assembly can go ahead and approve it as is presented. And let me tell you, the decision they face is a heavier one than one which simply would have sought amendments. Yes. It is take it or leave it, accept it or reject it. And on that threshold then, the discussion, in fact, should be perhaps even more intense internally for them to go to the vote. The vote is the final decision thing. To go to the vote, and they'll be seeking a simple majority in each assembly to approve it. And they have 90 days. There is a reason why it is 90 days rather than 1 week, because the other 8 would have arrived and the following day should approve it. The 90 days to allow them to reflect on it, to allow them to get back to their constituents, and now explain the specifics, not the general policy. Because what needs to go to the referendum are the critical decision points on this. And once people understand that, or understand it enough to make a judgment,
so do you suppose the CIA took this a little bit too fast?
They may have had their own shortcuts and or ways of doing it. I do not believe that from 25th to now, the way things are delivered, committed to the assembly, agreed to go back to the constituents, that this time has been rather short, if that's the case, I really would say. And now we don't want to mix up what ought to happen with what happened. Yes. I don't know what happened in Siaya. I know what ought to happen. So, but what happened in Siaya may have been what ought to happen, may not have been. I've not seen that. Does anybody have a factual information of when this was committed, when the various wards actually looked at it, and so on?
Published in the newspaper last week.
It is?
Yes, it was published in the newspaper.
No. In Siaya, it was published in the newspaper. So when were these ward meetings? Siaya has 5 constituencies, I think.
They've tried the level best to justify that.
Yeah. That they have gone down to the ground. We know how these things travel and back. If they have not in the same mode as they do the public participation on the county integrated development plan, is no consultation at all. You go to the market, you read out something, and as you say, there may have been 10 people there, maybe 100 people there, it doesn't matter. You do it because you have appeared to have done that. But remember, these are changes that will transform not only our politics, but our societies. For the better in many cases, maybe not for the better according to others. And on this Tanga issue, and I must comment on this. When you have these kinds of proposals, there are people who say, no, we do not like it, and those say, yes, we like it. True. Both are legal, they are constitutional. They should be funded. If there was going to be public processes, both sides must be funded by the state. That's what happened in 2010, and in the prior ones too. You funded the yes, the yes sayers, is it? The naysayers, and those who agree. They are both legitimate, and none of it is illegal. And that's why we have had a problem now with virtual political criminalization of those who are opposed to the process. They have their point of view. And as they say, the majority have their say, their way, and minority have their say. That's the aptitude we must proceed by, and allow all this totality of people to feel they're in a legal process, by whatever position they hold. So that's what
I would want to assume that Fred, in a way, was trying to say that, well, while this is a political process, again, the politics that has been played is probably not proper in terms of seeing the document either sale or not a sale, because, well, while we could be having opposers and people who agree with the document, it is only fair that we also have conversations that are legit and are worth getting this document to the place where it is supposed to get. And so looping in
just actually to because you mentioned that, actually to just put it straight, in 1 second, what I'm saying is very simple. Some of the comments that have been put across, that the document is not available, we have never seen it, it's from the people that, as he says, are constitutionally allowed to oppose it. Those people have been from the 2 groups that I've mentioned. How do they argue that this document is bad while they have not read it?
But they cite, Fred, you will agree that they have cited certain things that they do not agree with. So you cannot cite a thing if you've not gone through
the availability of the document.
Yes. They have had an interaction with the document.
Yes.
It is their duty also as citizens of this country who love this country to take the document that they have to their people and explain to them why that document is bad or they don't agree with it. They have failed.
All right, that's interesting. But remember, the government itself has acknowledged that there's not much. Yes, let's allow Honorable Tandawa come in. The excitement and euphoria that revolves around this can get us getting it, all wrong from the word go. While we could say that this is a talk of tanga, let us also acknowledge that the government itself, or maybe the Kieleweke side, so to speak, have acknowledged at some point that there's need to push this document further to the people. So that in a way is also an acknowledgement that they have failed in terms of getting the masses to understand what is incorporated in whether the document or the bill as it stands.
Thank you. Linda, on this matter, I think we have ourselves to blame. When you are told that the maximum they have up to 90 days, there is no minimum time which is stipulated. That means they can do it even in 1 day. Okay. And then the other problem that I'm seeing from those who are saying probably they needed more time is that we are used to inefficiency, whereby the longer it takes, I think that is our way of life. And we keep complaining about that the costs take too long, the processes take too long. Now, when you have an assembly which is so efficient in terms of, and within a short time it is over with the process, we complain again that it has taken too long time. I think that is it's a very unfortunate status of the Kenyan people now, that we are used to inefficiency, that whatever is on the table should take the maximum time that there can be. I think we need to move away with this. And I think that the CI account has given a clue to the other counties that now we can be as efficient as we are supposed to be. Finally, on the issue of the public, this document, I think it will come a time when they will be, now it's their time to vote. And I think that is the ultimate, whether they'll vote yes or no. And the moment they vote no, that is the end of it. They vote yes, then the document passes. So even if one might not have interpreted the document in its entirety with the fullest, but the final document is yet to go to the public, and that is at the referendum. It does not end with the county, it does not end with parliament. Even when we pass it, it will still have to go to the people. So can we have this document passed? Can we be efficient? Can we set a terms of time and effort to withdraw?
All right, well, and there are likelihoods that it sails through based on what it is that the proponents have said. And, they said this with the signatures and it happened. And here we are having this document at the counties. Some of them, actually, someone is asking here, it is evident that this train is unstoppable. The members of county assemblies in the central going to push this, or they have to wait for the grants to, reflect and sail through for them to now say it's okay, let's proceed and do this, because after all, they have 90 days or so to speak. But one asks, assuming the BBI sails through in central counties or in the other counties at large, what will happen to the main referendum? Is the ground going to change come 2022?
You see, Linda?
Yes.
And this takes me back to what I said. Public participation is a continuous process.
Yes.
Even today, as we speak, if there are people that for one or two reasons have not interacted with the document, we have got political representatives. The members of county assembly, it is their duty, even after passing the bill, they must go to the people back and now try and explain to them. It is their duty. The reason why they're called the people's representative, because they take care of their interest.
Yes.
Number two, there will be a time to go and vote. That time is coming. The date shall be announced, the date of the referendum. It will be set and people will vote. Between that now and that time, there's also time to interact with the bill and know more about it, so that you can make a decision to reject or approve. Lastly, when you say within 90 days, within 90 days means even if the day started on 25th, on 26th, on 27th, you can still do what is right. And that's why he's talking about efficiency.
Let's pick what Mheshimiwa spoke
Let me
about.
just finish.
And I agree that you need to finish that, but let's be realistic for a moment. And you understand the process that this document is supposed to go through before,
realistically,
in as much as we'd want to argue that, yes, there is no minimum time incorporated in this.
That's okay.
Is it realistic
but technically, there's also minimum time, because if you look at the stages of a bill, first reading, second reading, voting. So
but remember, this is a special one. Okay.
So this special one will
Yes.
end at the second reading where you take a vote. And the first reading, you subject it to the committee, the public participation. So, I mean, we cannot say today, no. That's unfair. But I think there's some level of time that is required, and that one is not defined that it should be only after 90 days. No, it's within. Then you ask a very good question. What will happen when the counties, for example, Mount Kenya passes it, and will it change the perception? Referendum is about the people, and it is about the people making their say at the ballot in a popular vote. All the time that we have had referendum in this country, in a year or 2 years preceding the election, we have also seen how it changes the landscape of politics for that election. Remember 2005, 2017, you saw that. So, I mean, 2005 referendum, then 2007 election. So, history teaches us that with this, whatever happens, it is likely to configure the political landscape in a way that now the areas that will vote for the document, will be aligned towards a certain political landscape. But the most important thing is, why would the people of Kenya vote towards a certain way? If this document has got in its proposals that are going to ensure that we stop theft of public money, and proposals that are going to ensure that those cases that are dealing with corruption are expedited. Proposal to ensure that we address the issues of socioeconomic right. Proposal to ensure that we strengthen devolution by accessing more money. Proposal to ensure that we apply and implement the two principal constitutions. One of them is universal suffrage based on the equality of vote, and the other one is to ensure that not more than 2/3 of the same gender are in any public elective position. Then the public have now woken up, and they now know that when we go that route, then we are securing our future, and not only ours, but also for our children. And
mechanisms of implementation have been, the questions at hand. And I think Honorable Bunyasi Sakwa has some reservations, especially on the monies that are supposed to proceed to the counties. And while that one would also, look as though it's also the Tanga talk, is in a way justified based on the arguments that we witnessed today. And also, you have mentioned all the goodness, and I think Kenyans should focus on the goodness, but also there's
I'm just mentioning the facts. I mean, from my reading and my interpretation of that document, that is the
He's an advocate, a strong advocate of the BBI, obviously, clearly. But I was going to say, on the question of efficiency in parliamentary or legislative processes, it has its own challenges. 5 years ago, Parliament was extremely efficient in passing security laws. Within a day, we went through all these 3 stages and so on, issues of the tyranny of numbers and so on. Fortunately, the court, the Supreme Court, the High Court threw out a number of those laws that have been passed, because obviously there had been not enough reflection on it. They were driven by some desire in the executive to get them done, and they didn't fit in very well. My argument about the 90 days and whether they're going to do it in 1 day or in 89 days is simply that time period was given to allow for enough reflection on these processes, because it's a heavy decision. It's not just amending, it's you're rejecting or accepting. That's a big decision that an institution is given to deal with. But we also remember that the fact that assembly members agree does not mean that it's automatically going to vote. We expect that would happen, because that's how they're going to present it. You are holding back the details of the document, and you're explaining along the lines of what is good in it, for example. So obviously you might sway people to do that. But let us remember that there is, that's why there is some worry among close observers that let us not be too hasty and have it fail at the end. But it can't be hasty if it's within the 90 days. It could be 1 day in the 90 days, could be 89 in the 90 days, depending on the wisdom of that assembly where it's happening. We can't I can't avoid relating it to a broader perspective. There will be some counties where you can predict it will probably happen in similar speed or close second to Siaya. There will be others where it's going to drag towards the maybe 89 days or maybe even 5 days, and they will have rejected or passed it and so on. I don't think we should worry too much about that, yes or no, in what time frame it's been done, except to the effect that people are focusing on things they think are good about it. And let me tell you, some of the things that are supposed to be good about it are decisions that will be implemented via annual public policy statements, like, for example, the budget process. It's the budget process that will allocate resources. Remember, in our current constitution, we had the equalization fund, which provided for a certain amount of money to go to underdeveloped counties and so on. But that what government did is, whereas it existed, they did not allocate funds to it all this time. So it's one thing passing the law, it's another having it happen. It will happen when budgets are passed. And we are confusing things that are constitutional and things that are economic and public policy issues that are going to be subjected on an annual review and so on, through a budget process and so on. They should not have crowded the referendum. The referendum should have stayed with the core issues, which the Constitution says, if changed, then there must be a referendum for it. And there are just a few. The system of governance is one of those, and it's a very core one. And everybody bypasses that. We're expanding the executive from 2 people to a total of maybe 5 at the minimum. It's not just people, there are offices. Right. These are large offices, it's going to be. Now the question would be, somebody has to bear that, but I'm an economist and I always worry, what's the cost of all these changes? I was told, you can't cost things that require these kinds of profound changes, which means we are bringing forth something, up-fronting something that we like today, and I don't know what it implies for later generations and so on. Right. So I really think that the debate now is no longer whether the county should take 1 day or 20 days. Some are going to pass, some will not pass it, and we shall see in the main. If we get 24, this stage is done. Okay. But there's still the next test. Then whether the citizens, and fortunately by that time I hope we'll have made enough copies progressively to get the opinion makers in our constituencies to react to it in the basis of what they read and see, or what is explained to them in small groups. One reads and you are sitting in a small caucus, that's what happens, and they'll go paragraph by paragraph and then agree or disagree. So when we go to the vote, when we ask the people in the referendum whether to go for or not, we shall tell them in the balance of what you have seen or been explained by trusted sources, go ahead. And by the way, there are some who trust the senior political leaders. Yes. So they say if they look at it, I trust the person. So that's one way we make decisions.
Well, we all hope that we would move from that point to a different point altogether, because that is what has made us, some of us complain about this progressive constitution that we have in the 2010 document. Some arguing that yes, whoever read it, but then again you realize that there are a lot of loopholes, and now we are talking amendment again. Honorable Sawa, it is almost inevitable to discuss this document and fail to discuss individuals, or I am forgiven. I hope I'm forgiven if it is not the case. So we ask these questions. Is President Uhuru Kenyatta going to use the BBI to recover the lost ground and probably roar again? Will there be such openings? And let's talk about the ODM leader. Is he going to be useful after the BBI sells through?
Thank you, Linda. I don't look at the BBI in terms of the president and the former prime minister. I would look at the BBI as the future of this country. One, before I proceed, I would also want to correct Honorable Sakwa Bunyasi, my senior, when he said that the equalization fund was never actualized. For me, who comes from one of the marginalized counties, that is Kwale County, we got 1 billion extra on the basis of the equalization fund. Unfortunately, it has expired. The BBI wants to bring it back straight away. That is a plus for us. So actually, the equalization fund.
It wasn't disbursed.
Sorry? You can pick it up, react to him about, we try and fix that.
Yeah, it's provided for, but it's not being disbursed. The treasury is not appropriating it. Okay. That's the problem.
And I think, Linda...
So that's the challenge I'm saying, that government gets the option, get away with it when the actual implementation time comes, like they have done with that. Yes. So the fact that it's provided for in the BBI, say the 35%, I can guarantee you that we shall not get that 35% maybe in the next 7 or 8 years. The reason being, the economy can't support it. Because it's not supporting even the 15% now. And we are pondering over it, allowing the treasury to get away with it. Last year they had the year with 100 billion shillings in untransferred resources. So somehow we have to put pressure on the system to say, if you have promised this, then provide it. If we agree too quickly, they'll get away with it. It will have been provided, now they'll leave it. It will lie. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. That
yes. I will agree with you, Mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
But there are certain facts, Linda, around this. You see, the proposals in the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 are based on the projected economic growth. And we are not going to be a country that is static. Projected economic growth that is based with the need of having an equitable opportunity for economic prosperity. And that's why it has now outlined some areas where the government shall secure and try and support pastoralism, agriculture, which is sustainable, and even intellectual property as a sustainable development area to ensure that we project the growth of this economy so that we secure that 35%. But be that as it may, the other issue that people are not talking about is why is it that there has been a problem in ensuring that the counties get their equitable share of revenue?
Right.
That problem starts from Parliament. Why? Because the requirement is that the basis of dividing revenue shall be based on the most audited accounts as submitted to Parliament by Auditor General. And the members of Parliament are required to approve that. The years or financial year where this country has collected more revenue, and when you're dividing revenue, you should be based on that. The Parliament that we have today has been, I would not say a lazy Parliament, but for one or two reasons, they have failed to ensure that they are at this par with the audited accounts, and therefore the counties don't get the equitable share. But look, what does the BBI say to secure that? It say, in the event that there is division of revenue that is required to be based on the most audited accounts, then for one or two reasons Parliament has not approved those audited accounts, then the revenue division of revenue shall be based on the accounts that have been submitted by the Auditor General. That is a cure. An amendment in Article 202. The other one, just a minute. The other one he mentioned
they will not be legal. They will not be legal.
The other one he mentioned that, but what do you mean they will not be legal? But this is now the Constitution. I'm reading.
No, it can't be.
I'm arguing from a constitutional proposal that, if passed, shall be the supreme law. Number two, he's talking about equalization fund. Equalization fund was not just a fund. It was a fund that was meant to bring other counties that are marginalized to the same level with the counties that are seem to be doing well. And it had a sunset period. That sunset period will come to an end. What does BBI do? It extends the sunset period so that the beneficiaries of the equalization fund can continue. And it was meant for development purposes, to provide specific services, water, electricity, roads, So we must also understand as a people that in the constitutional amendment processes, it must be for the people. And if it works, then what does the members of Parliament do to secure their people to ensure that it works? Remember, currently, our members of Parliament are the ones who should be talking about issues of national interest. Some of them have not talked about issues of national interest. And they are complaining the loudest.
But let us just clarify. I don't want to dominate this, but let's just clarify one point.
Yes.
Clarify. Before Mheshimiwa clarifies.
All right, now, Honorable Ilachi had to find her way in,
so that he clarifies everything.
Yes.
Number one, when you say that in the counties at the moment they are not getting even the 15%, then it will be very unfortunate, because I know, and I was a senator 2013 to 2017, and we know very well at this time counties are getting 33%.
Yes.
They are getting 33%.
Come on, let us not lie. No, let us not lie.
It is not a lie. It is not a lie, and we can do that next week and bring the facts. But then the other question should be that where is the money of the local revenue that we left to the counties? What is happening with that money? Why is it that we are looking just at the national government? Then we return all revenues to national government, and national government collects revenue for counties. Because it's very unfortunate when we look at what the counties are supposed to collect for themselves, and they are not collecting, and you're expecting everything to be done again by national government, then why do we have county governments? It means you're expecting if the national government will not work, then the county dies? No, the constitution envisaged in 5 years, counties will be able to even collect more revenue than
that has not been realized, and we have to acknowledge that. We still have a long way to go, so to speak.
Yeah, and local governments never used to be paid by national governments. Local governments paid salaries for their people and did their development. Yet, at this time, we have monies coming from national government. We have local revenue streams that national government cannot touch in every county that we have today. And we have more better streams than what was there during the local authorities. What has happened? Parliament has to help us to help counties come up with a serious legal framework to tell them your local revenues must also be presented and shown even in the assembly that this is what we have collected locally. And it should be locally shown.
Well,
not the way we do also the budgets of national government, where it is, you itemize your budget, then you show where you've gotten the revenues that you're going to use after you itemize these budgets.
Well,
I think that's the most important thing.
Around 8 years or 9 years thereafter, there's still conversations that revolve around how best we can make the best of devolution in terms of actually getting these counties to collect their revenue. We are not yet there just yet, where there's a proper collection of revenue. And probably before we come to you, Honorable Sakwa, to react to the same, I think it's only fair that we allow Honorable Sawa to come in. And I mean, squarely again, the blame has been laid. Or we don't have him, yes. The blame has been laid upon the House that you probably have not done well.
I agree with Honorable Elachi that county governments ought to do more to collect more revenue, and more. The other side of revenue is called taxation. So counties, some counties have to. Each county must evaluate to what extent they want to tax their citizens. But for laws, the tax laws that exist, they must collect the optimum revenue they can. There's no excuse about that. Even if all of the remittances from the Division of Revenue bail amounts that goes into the county allocation as done by the Senate, even if all that is paid on time, it does not excuse them from not collecting their revenues. That they must do, and more revenue they have got, the more development they can do. What I'm talking about the inability to finish off this payment, that year after year, usually by the end of the financial year, government has not yet remitted the full amounts. They fall into the following year. And that is an obligation that the Treasury then follows through during they don't lose the money, it's then paid to them later. But you know that the accounting period is the 12 months that you have got. We talk about absorptive capacity, talk about how much have you put on development. The development funds come late in the day, and then they don't have enough time to apply it. So that's just, it's a financial management problem that's related to the capacity of government to mobilize these resources. The second one, which is a quick clarification I was going to make, the law says that the amount of money, the revenue that goes to the counties shall be, as it is now, not less than 15% of the last audited accounts. And now the audited accounts are about 2 years, maybe sometimes 3 years behind. The closer they can be is 2 years ago. Like, for example, what they would be discussing now must be 30th June, should have been 30th June accounts as audited. But you see, those accounts are not ready for submission into Parliament. It's just in the process of doing it. So it'll be about 18 months, 2 years back. It's not bad by itself. It's on that basis that the late disbursements, releases are happening. Nice. That they need to fix that. Now my worry, and I'm talking non-partisan, but as an economist on this, that as I see the structure of our economy, we'll have to get a terribly strong person who is completely convinced, who is the Pope of devolution, to have this to happen. If there is any latitude in it, it doesn't happen freely. The national government acts as if any funds to the county governments are a loss. That's a mistake, because that's where the 50 million people live. Yes. So it is true that they ought to get that money and get even more. If you talk about the equalization fund, the people, particularly the pastoral communities and some other areas, and I'm sure my friend Sawa Tandaza will agree with me, there has been a lot of serious push to the Treasury to begin to release funds, to release money into that fund. The fund is legal, it exists, but it's not funded. And if there had been funding, we would be having a lesser of a problem on these issues of revenue sharing of the type we had in the Senate. Because indeed, as he has said, that money is supposed to make those corrections without charging it on the resources of the county to say the state wants you to move up to a level that's comparable to other regions and so on. The goodwill is there, and I support that goodwill. The capacity to deliver it on the basis of how we are structured is still not there. Maybe it's the lack of what would you say, will, free. What's the right English word? That willingness to do it, without being.
As they say, we probably are looking forward to get leaders that will be willing, and so when they come
those leaders
board,
don't come quickly. That's the problem, and they're not on the horizon yet.
Wind up.
Yeah.
As the argument, yes. Honorable Ilachi, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with my Shimiwa. Those leaders don't just come. But then at the same time...
But then we do not fail to plan just because we think these leaders won't come easy, friend. And I guess that's why the BBI is here. And as you've said, in as much as we do not have the money right now, we're looking forward to times being better.
Constitutions
well,
are
I don't want us to really talk about this thing we don't have money. You know, you can't wake up to Kenyans and you've been able to collect tax of nearly 1.3, 1.4 trillion tax from Kenyans. That is money that takes a budget of Uganda, I think, and Rwanda, and then you wake up and tell them, we have money, but we use it badly. We must.
You have 1 trillion
ask
debts
ourselves,
to pay every year.
we have money and we steal the money.
The debt is
even if you're borrowing money and people will see development, that somebody in Western will see new factories coming up, nobody will question. Kenyans are questioning because they are not seeing why you should be borrowing and why people are still struggling. So the question in Kenya is not that we don't have resources. We have resources that God has blessed us with. We misuse the resources that God has given us. In fact, Kenya, we can survive without borrowing if we can just be straight with what we are doing from the counties. I'm not talking of the national government alone, from the counties. We can. It can happen. It has happened. But we have just been people who look at Mali ya umma. The person here,
of the leadership?
Not Serikali.
Yes, I agree with what Speaker Lachi is saying. And I want just to remind Kenyans on the objects of devolution. One of the objects of devolution was to ensure that the communities manage their own affairs and further their development. How do you ensure that you manage your affairs and further development? You must now start putting resources there as a startup to industrialize fast. And that's what the framework, the BBI Constitutional Amendment Bill is bringing. You industrialize the local areas and then give them the capacity to now produce locally, and they shall not rely heavily on the national government revenue that people are now talking about is not capable. They are capable. Lastly, let us be honest with ourselves. This referendum that is coming, it's a referendum that is going to ensure that the people of Kenya choose between what is right and do it, or reject it if it is wrong. But I have seen in this country, everyone can attest that at the smallest unit of devolved system called the ward, people are poor, people are suffering. Today you drive out of here, you go to a ward in Parklands, there's tarmac road. But when you go to my village in Homa Bay County, Kakelo Kokwanyo ward, there's no tarmac road. And that's why we're saying the resources are needed most at the smallest unit, so that we start using those units as the accelerated units of development. Then, from there, we can now start saying we are measuring development bottoms up. But how are we going to do that? You put a framework. What is this framework? This framework must be a point of reference called the Constitution of Kenya. That Constitution of Kenya has given guidelines so that the members of parliament, when they're legislating, they are guided. The MCAs, when they're legislating, they are guided. The public, when they're walking around and doing their business, they are guided. What do they need to do? What don't they need to do? In this context, I am convinced that the right thing to do now is to ensure that we take resources there, but not only take them, protect those resources to the penny. Then how do we protect? We have seen, Speaker mentioned one of the challenges that we have had. We have resources, but we are not making prudent use of the resources as required in the financial laws. What we are doing, we are misusing the resources. So let us protect the resources. But in a way, if there is an instance where resources have been misappropriated or there's an allegation, then let us also expedite the process of recovery, trial, conviction, so that we don't have cases of misappropriation of funds in court for 10, 20 years. We shall have lost it. I believe it is possible.
All right, in 30 seconds, Mheshimiwa, as we call it a day.
The BBI Trust had good intentions. We started off from the premise that unequal development in different regions is part of what has caused this deep anger, and that we must get a formula in which all areas begin to develop and perhaps even catch up. That was the thinking. But there was also the issue of ensuring that there are no recurrent conflicts after elections. That is not, for me, I don't see how that can be tackled through the BBI. Okay. I thought that would mean, on the one hand, that we don't have one national office for which you go to election, but that's why you get this competition that is led to violence. But that if you are in a parliamentary system, you're electing at most your local parliamentary representatives, senator and MP, and your ward representatives. So there's no need for you in Busia to fight somebody in Cliffy and so on. But because we are going for national office, yes, this issue is going to remain. Why? Because we are not tackling the electoral issues. They're just coming out as an afterthought and so on. So let us not mix up the economic benefits we are talking about and the avoidance of violence. Okay. You can see what is already happening with the temperatures that are rising. All I want to say is I want to urge Kenyans, including us in this panel, let us begin to use real data that we have got. We will collect, perhaps this year is projected that the coming year will do 1.7 trillion. That's probably most unlikely. But that whatever the case is, like if you're collecting about 1.3, 1.2, our debt service, which is a reality today, is $1 trillion. It's going to be $1 trillion plus. So then the rest is what remains in the system, and it's very little, even to pay the wage bill. Forget the development component of it. So it's an economy that requires a lot of massaging. But the processes we are having do not take care of this. Yeah. So we shall have IMF live with us here for a long time to come. But well and good, the BBI is intended to bring people on the table to debate these matters and so on. Now that we all at least provide a copy of a bill in the next timed referendum, not just to the passage by the county assemblies, I will have had a chance to go substance by substance, perhaps not line by line, on what is proposed, so that at the vote time, the decisions will be clear in the minds of the people, individually decided whether to vote for, vote against. But then, whatever the case, we still have got our Kenya. It has to, it's like a patient has to take the medications required, and exercise every day. The economy is also in that same mode.
Well, above everything, it is interesting how the gentlemen have already concluded that indeed there's going to be a referendum. Yeah, it is a process that we are talking about. So we look forward to that. It's going to be passed. There are enough counties to do that. I can even write. Give me time. I'll list which counties. Yes, yes. All right, let's close it, Honorable Elachi, in 30 seconds.
Well, for me, I think the most important thing is, first of all, I know BBI is a very, very political, it's a political tool, and with the political processes. But at the same time, let us go through the process, pass this, for the sake of many other issues that are there, the issues of youth, the issues of tax-free for young people for 7 years. Let us not just look at that political part that everyone is looking at. Let us look at the things that we know that are going to really indeed change lives. I remember in 2005, we lost a constitution from bombers because of our political agonies and conflicts that we had. Yet it was among the best. Forget about 2010. We will not be talking about 2/3 today if we finished with bombers, with many other issues that we had brought in. So now, for this, there are lessons we have learned, there are lessons that are in that can cure, and let us go fast, finalize this process, and then we move on as a country. The issue of political tensions that are there, I agree that yes, these are issues that we just need to ask ourselves. Do we always have to go through this? For the sake of what? Then that if these are leaders who will always take us to war, Kenyans are complaining now, they should now wake up and remove them, all of them. And just say, yes, if anyone has ever taken us to war, why are we fighting? We don't know. Why? Must you be a president? It's God's will. So
but just how much does the vote count in this case? But all the same, we
yes.
We say yes.
So for me, it is my prayer that we separate 2022 from BBI and we deal with BBI first.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Elachi. I think we look at that, right? It's only fair that we look at that. And on behalf of Honorable Kasim Sawa, whom we lost along the way, I would probably say it is incumbent upon you to be, on alert, because the ball is coming on your court. What decision will you make? Make sure that you make an informed decision, not based on what it is that you're told, but based on your own, right conscience. And on that note, Asante Sana, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, former Speaker Nairobi, Fred Okango, Secretary General Pathway Alliance. We had Kasim Sawa Tandaza, Member of Parliament Matuga, and lastly, Sakwa Bunyasi, Member of Parliament Nambale. We close it at that as we cross over to a different conversation altogether on apple farming. It's an interesting one. We're going to be having apples on set, so make sure that you keep it right here.
Agriculture being the engine of economic growth in Kenya, Richer Fields aims to educate, entertain, and take you round the world of rich fields when it comes to matters agriculture and agribusiness.
It's 800 shillings per kg.
Where?
Almost 100% profit.
We take you to the world of organic living.
Some people say organic is boring. It's actually not boring.
Strawberry farming and so much more. Richer Fields coming soon on TV 47. On the grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories and so much more every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Pain, discomfort, and sleepless nights. These are just but a few of the things we go through on a daily that deteriorate our health. Body Garage is here to remind you on how to love and care for your body's health.
Finding our balance. Don't worry, you'll finally come back again.
Self-care and love is the best gift you can give. Tune in every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. On Coffee with Movie, we bring you great testimonies from amazing personalities.
So wa kwanza alikaa ndani ilikuwa intense cause alikuwa alikuwa atafuta place atawaka akifanya thesis zake.
Stories that will inspire and encourage you.
Hiyo kitu ilisha usoni clap. Sheila told us this is what we've been looking for.
And some that will even make you laugh out loud.
You have chapa kawa ya kutuliza temperature kabla hiyo story.
Na wewe hukuleta mandazi bro.
Mbona ingeandikwa coffee and mandazi?
Aya!
Make sure you catch the episodes of Coffee with Movie every Sunday at 8 p.m. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is the month of love.
When you're loved truly, every grain of your personality changes.
Ooh. A great time to add more fire to your love life.
Why not have a journey before the climax rather than always thinking about the climax?
With great insights from our panelists.
It ought to start during the day. Ikifika pale jioni, sasa flirting ndio inafika kilele. Yeah, that is when now you go for your beautiful dress.
And spice to your relationship. Only on the Garden of Eden. Every Wednesday from agriculture being the engine of economic growth in Kenya. Richer Fields aims to educate, entertain, and take you round the world of rich fields when it comes to matters agriculture and agribusiness.
It's 800 shillings per kg.
Where?
Almost 100% profit.
We take you to the world of organic living.
Some people say organic is boring. It's actually not boring.
Strawberry farming and so much more. Richer Fields coming soon on TV 47.
Apples that we eat, that is in the country, are imported. Some of them we get from the Middle East, some of them from the Southern Africa. I have traveled to this side and I can almost tell you how sweet the apples down there are. Sometimes I wonder, is it so? Do we get to import them? And if we import them, do they give us the worst, the surplus and the things that are not so sweet? Because then again, the apples down there are huge and they are so sweet. This is probably because, it's a complicated affair just to plant apples. The trees require a lot of work and so much, effort put on it. They are pretty much delicate. But it's interesting to note that right here in our country, we have also had farmers that have decided to venture into this, and they're doing it so well. So we get to engage an apple farmer, and of course she will be taking us through what it is that she has done to manage to sustain this right here in the country, a place where we all thought that maybe this is not possible. You'd probably want to challenge yourself and ask, how many of us have ever seen an apple tree? Probably you have never seen an apple tree, but you always see them all around the streets being sold. And, in a way, they are always considered as, luxurious fruits, or so to speak. So we have a couple of them here. So I'm going to be enjoying the freshest of them all, courtesy of Catherine Wambogo, who's a farmer, does apples. Karibu sana. Asante sana to have you this morning.
Thank you, Linda.
And we are excited because, I think I don't think I've ever seen an apple tree.
Now you have it.
You should have. This is an apple, but
it's a little apple.
So we get to know, leaves in a cage. Because it's not always that utatembea around and you see these trees.
Yeah.
What is so special about this, and why is it that you have gotten yourself into this? I asked her this because I only know of very few farmers who do apples in the country, and you can almost mention their names. I know of a Wambogo, and so she also said she's Wambogo, and I was like, do you know this Wambogo who does apples too?
Yes.
And she said yes. Yeah. So you will get to learn about Catherine some more as we proceed. So, is it first of all a profitable venture to get into?
Linda, it is. We've been doing this for over 40 years, nothing else on the apple farming.
Okay.
The whole of my family is into apple farming.
Oh yeah.
My father is Peter Wambogo. He's a founder.
Yes,
first
I know
of all.
him.
Yeah, definitely is known here. And he has been doing this over 40 years. And now he has trained us in the same. And we have seen it's doing well to him. So why not us? So we are all there doing the same.
Is it that one thing that you would advise someone to get into?
Yeah, one thing is it's not a hard working job.
Yes.
But it's a smart working job. Because you just farm when you're doing other things, and the returns are super because the returns will drive you to the business. So it's doing well to us. We are depending on it. The school fees we are paying for our kids, everything is apple. Yes.
All right. So can you do it from anywhere in terms of climate, in terms of the soils that you'd look at?
Yes, everywhere. This Linda is a nice and unique apple. where you plant to any climate, any soil. I've done them because I've gone up to so many countries with different climate and different soil. I've gone to Nigeria, I've gone to Botswana, I've gone to Zimbabwe, and they, like Nigeria, they don't have the loam soil that we have here.
Yes.
They have sandy soil, and it's doing well, so well. Botswana the same, where Kalahari Desert is, and it's doing well. Here in Kenya, we have different soil. We have done almost every part of Kenya, and it's doing well. So you can do this wherever you are. You need manure and watering. Yes.
All right, so that's an interesting one. Have you tasted the apples in Zimbabwe?
Yes, actually doing
are they
so.
as good? Are these ones as good as what is there?
The varieties,
you have varieties in this case. You only brought us one. Like this is one. I don't want to call it species. I don't know what to call it. Yes,
red staple. So we have a green also.
Okay.
But the red one is the most popular one and has a bigger demand.
Okay.
Like Zimbabwe is doing so well. It's a place called Harare.
Yes.
So it's doing quite super because the variety of the tree is all matters, because our trees are hybrid. We graft them, and when we are supplying to someone who want to venture into it, so this person will depend to this plant. It will not fail at all. So
all right, today we're all about farming, not practical, but we'll just have a conversation revolving around this. So in the event that you'd want to venture into it, take your pen and your paper, pick up the lessons. You'll be having the pictures, running on the screen. These are real pictures that were captured, by Catherine, for us to be able to get to see just how this happens. For the first time, you get to have, a glance, well, not really in real sense. You just see how the apple, tree looks like as they are, of course, being shown on the screen. So how do you farm apples?
Okay, like what is going on the screen?
Yes,
that's our farming back Laikipia,
right?
And we have done 7 acres so far, and we are harvesting a lot because we have done almost 7 acres, and they are doing well. One, they don't hold you on, as in you're just on on the farm.
Yes.
Once you've planted and you give manure, you'll be just watering the plant. So it's so easy to manage, as you can see on the screen.
Right.
So that's now, it's current, Linda. When you come to the farm, this is what
this is what is on
now.
Okay,
this is just now. This is what you meet.
Maybe we should have done this from.
Yeah, we will. I don't know, your shoes will go to the farm.
Don't worry, we always carry others in the bag.
Okay, these are, you can see it's a very nice place, and we enjoy. We also interclop with other things if you want to do other things.
Okay.
So this one will not limit you on apple farming only. So you can be doing beans, you can be doing peas, you can also be doing potatoes. And actually it's the best because people that there is a very high demand on apple. Yes. So that's why this thing is pushing us to do the apple farming, because the demand is so high, Linda. Like in Kenya, there are few people who have the apple.
Yes.
So we're only depending on other countries like us of South Africa, which now we don't know how they are doing. We are not sure of the organic status, but for our own is organic.
Okay.
Linda,
100%.
we don't use
no
chemicals,
fertilizers,
no
nothing.
We use manure, the cow manure, the goat's manure, and this fruit, when you eat it like this is where you say an apple a day keeps a doctor away.
Is it clean?
Yes, it's clean.
Can I?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please, Madam Director, allow me to direct me for a moment, because this is the only time I can have this without paying for it. So it is the only time that I can have this without paying for it. She has no choice but to give it to me. So here we are.
Should be crunchy.
So how am I going to ask the questions?
You really enjoy it. Actually,
fresh from the farm, yeah?
Fresh from the farm. Actually, I took them yesterday. So sweet. I'm telling you.
So sweet, you can be rest assured they are amazing. I've not seen much of this in the market.
What happens? People come to the farm when they come to see how we are doing. And Linda, they will carry, someone will come, please tell me 20 kgs.
Wow.
Because they have a longer shelf life. You can have it for a whole month. That is life shelf.
Okay.
Because like the way you are eating, when you put it on your table, you eat it after next week, it will be more sweeter than what you're doing right now. Yeah.
Nice.
So actually every time you're supposed to have an apple in the house, because it has a longer shelf, because it's organic. There's no preservatives, no chemicals. We do it naturally.
Nice. This is incredible. I mean, we always keep saying that it is important that you get it natural. It is the best. So So, hey, hizo nizo ziko hapo kwa screen.
That's nice.
Feature. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you import now that you say that demand is pretty much high in the country? You probably are not even able to supply for the entire country. Are there instances that you've had to import, to export?
Okay, we have a market. So many people have come. Yes. Spain has come to a farm, and Netherlands. And Netherlands is the one that's now on our neck, that we need your apples. Why? And also UK, because they need organic. The apples that are going there, they are not organic. Okay. So they are kind of worried of the apples that are getting to Netherlands, that is in Holland. Okay. So they have given us a whole container every week. Which, Linda, we have never even gone closer to that. Oh. Because Kenyans have...
The market is
it's overwhelming.
Okay.
But we thank God, because people now have come to embrace. Very many people, they didn't know about the apple. Okay. So now they say, hey, this can grow, as you can see on the screen. This can grow in Kenya. Right. So when they come and eat, some of these videos we can take from Israel and come and post.
Yes, it's true.
That's why they come to the farm and they find, these apples are here.
It's actually legit.
Wait until they eat. Now people start planting and blessing this. Okay. So I think some years to go, we'll not be importing apples, the whole Kenya. Okay. We have our own apple. And that way now, we can now start exporting, because it have a very big demand from Kenya. It's like avocado, the way they were doing. Yes. They are depending on Kenyan. But why? Because we are not using chemicals. Like us, we use our biological traps for the insect and all that. So they trap the insect, they'll get the male. They'll get the male. So the female will not reproduce. So they all kill all the males. So there will be no reproduction. So after the male will die, there's no reproduction. So we are able to control the pest. So automatically we are not using chemicals. So, and that one give you guarantee. When you eat this apple, it's healthy.
100%.
I can even tell with your mouth, it already has a saliva because of the sweetness.
It's just that I am on said, I cannot eat the entire thing right now. So I'll just keep it somewhere around here as we have a conversation and hoping that it hits 9 Araka, so I'm able to enjoy some more. How long does it take for, an apple or apples to mature? Now that you say that that is what the situation is like on the ground.
This apple, Linda, when you plant, after 9 months, they start fruiting, or even earlier. But we encourage, 9 months. Okay. So, but we encourage, for you, because you can even fruit at 4 months or 5 months, we encourage the farmer, please wait until 9 months come. Why? This plant will not be able to hold such a big fruit, Linda. Okay. They are even bigger than this. They are not, you see there is some green here, so it's not yet ready. Okay. Though it's good, but when it is ready, it's bigger. Okay. So if this plant of 4 months or 6 months would hold 10 of these, then it means you might lose some of the branches because it will just break. Okay. So what you do, you wait until 9 months. This tree, and then when you are waiting for the 9 months, you'll be feeding this tree very well for it to have stronger branches, for it to hold the fruits that you should have. Yeah, so it's like pregnancy. It's 9 months. And, and when it starts, Linda, it will not stop. It's throughout the year. That's the amazing thing. So
okay, wait a minute. So this tree, once it starts producing, after 9 months, you get all the fruits and then you start again afresh.
What happens, 9 months, when you see the first flowers, when they turn to be an apple or a fruit, now the other branches or some other branches will start bringing some new flowers. Right. So as soon as you're able to harvest these, you have some other stages of the fruits coming. So you do it the whole year. There's no time, Linda, you go to a farm or come to a farm and lack an apple. So it's a good business, but you're not on season.
Yo, man, thank me, Lisa, for bringing these tips to you. So a mature, well-managed apple tree, just how much can it produce in terms of fruits?
The first 9 months, you should have not less than 20 fruits per tree. Okay. Then from there, of course, they will go multiplying. The way you're feeding it, you're taking good care of it. So by the time it comes to 2 years, you're supposed to be harvesting almost 500 fruits from one tree.
Oh, okay.
So the fruit maturity is around 7 years.
As short as they look?
I'm telling you, it's like this.
Okay.
Like it's short like this, and you'll be holding the tree because the branches are going down because of the heavy rain. Yeah, so you have to, like this is fruiting.
500.
500.
Okay.
But now when it comes to maturity, which is 5 to 7 years, you start having over 2,000 fruits from one tree. And that was practical. Not...
I wanted to ask one season, then I thought, okay,
it's throughout.
So it's throughout. So these ones do not have seasons like, oh, in December, sasa ni time ya maembe?
No. Whether it's January, whether it's February, like if you miss fruits, then you're not feeding the plant well.
How are you supposed to feed the plant?
The manure, the manure and watering, because the watering is important for the juice you're taking.
Okay.
So when this juice or the water is running in your stomach, is going through the veins. That's why now it comes to have to solve so many diseases in your body. So that's why it's very important for the water. So it's a throughout. So when you're done with this, you are harvesting, and there's some other fruits you're supposed to prepare for harvest. So it's a throughout the year. And the lifespan of 100 years. When you plant now,
that one plant.
Yeah.
But how long does it take for it to mature? Now you say I've planted it today, so in 9 months you can be rest assured that it's going to be a big plant.
Yeah, normally it's around how many feet? It's around 5 feet.
Okay.
Because of the feeding you're doing. So of course from the nursery to the now transplanting, it will start expanding and also gaining some stronger branches. So by 9 months you should be having 20 fruits.
So that one is a mature tree?
It's not even mature. It's starting fruiting. The full maturity is around 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
You'll be harvesting over 2,000 fruits from one tree. And when harvesting those ones, what happens? There is another smaller fruit. They cannot all of them be big. So there's a smaller, and also there is a flower coming up. Right. So this tree is strong too. When you're done taking these, the other one will start being big. So that's how it's continuous.
All right.
Yes.
So care for the seedlings and all that and everything, is it the same as when you're taking care of the now mature tree?
No. Now this one will automatically have to change because when you're nursing a baby, you give Weetabix and all that. But you, Linda, you take it then. So when you take now the tree is around 2 years, there's a way. I think you saw on the video. There's a way we remove the soil again from where we planted.
All right.
Because as we plant, we make 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet deep. That is the hole. The reason why we make that is for this tree, because it's a baby. The roots will be able to penetrate easily and get the food. So when the tree is now 2 years, you're supposed to remove again now, go to the down on the ground, around the stem.
Okay.
You remove and you get around like
the
a
roots.
basin.
Yes.
Then you put like 2 wheelbarrows of manure. Remember the first time we did 1 bucket when planting, but now these are a big tree. So you need to put almost 2 wheelbarrows, and then you cover it well, you water it well. Then you do the mulching. The mulching is important for the water to retain the water and also to avoid the evaporation. Like us, we have done beans, as you can see on the ground, or not this one, you see another one. We have done beans as a sign of, what do you call it, pollination, not pollination, the mulching. So instead of us doing the dry greens, dry grass and all that. So we enjoy with the cabbages, we enjoy the beans, because it's also covers like this, Linda. So it's able to cover it well. So we also enjoy the beans and all that.
And so yes, like you
so
said,
the
you
feeding
can also
would
plant other things. But okay, can you plant things like maize, those ones that have like they go up probably long stem or longer stems or something?
Maize, Linda, you can't do. I have been actually advising people, and maize you can. When you do, we have 2 varieties of trees. We have the dwarf and you have the taller one.
Okay.
But when you're planting when they are the dwarfs, you don't do maize at all in that far. And reason being, the pollination of the maize will poison the flowers of the apples, and then the flowers will just abort. So we discourage these things of doing the maize in between. Buy a gunia of maize, it's so cheap.
Okay.
And I'm kind of
make a lot of money out of your apples, enough to buy you a gunia of maize.
You know what, Linda? Do you know 1 gunia of maize is around 2,000? Let's give it on higher. 2,000.
Yes.
You know how many fruits? Only like 3 kgs.
Of apples.
We'll buy that maize. Yes. So let's do the smart farming.
It is indeed smart farming. So when I take my apples, hapo katikati kuna mbegu, like you slice in the mbegu. What do you plant? Is this mbegu that is planted or what?
So this one, now, haina mbegu.
Yeah, in a big.
So
the grafted.
This is grafted. So you can't do the seed.
Okay.
But
so what is planted when you want to get an apple tree?
My dad, let me go a little bit back. We went to the Abadeas mountain, where the Mau Mau used to stay.
Okay.
These people, they know how to keep fit. So they used to plant and the white settlers, they used to plant them there because, of course, in the hills, the rains will be there.
Yes.
So they planted an apple. And when my dad was going around to get chakula ya ng'ombe, so he just found a very nice apple fruiting. And because he has been a farmer, so he thought, what is this apple? So now he took some plants from forest, and then he came to our farm and we started propagation. So that's how we got this apple. So we normally get now from the forest, and then we propagate it in our farm. So we don't do seed, but you can do seed, but you also need to graft it, because of course from the seed you get the root stock, and the root stock, that tree will be fruiting over 20 years to give you 2 fruits. But you see, this one is giving you at 9 months. So that's the only unique thing with this apple. We don't do seed. This one is seedless.
Okay. Well, we argue that there are no seasons for this. Sometimes there are times when you say, this is a bumper harvest. What is the secret? Are there times when you say, well, when it's hot, the harvest is not as good as when it's cold? Like you said, he got this at the Aberdare, those places are cold and all that.
This fruit is amazing, Linda, because actually it comes from Laikipia. These are from Laikipia, not from a very cold, because people may think that the cold areas like Nyeri, from like Nemuru, that they only do well. This is from Laikipia. It's a semi-arid place. So what happens when on the cold areas, of course they don't water every day. But for last, Linda, we water. Like in a week, 2 times.
To invest on that.
Yeah,
yes.
In a week 2 times. Okay. And let me tell you the good thing with the hot areas. I'm proud of it, because Nyeri and Limuru people, they feel like and Kinagop, those people. But okay, for last, the fruits are very sweet. One, and again they tend to be very big.
Yes.
And they are so there's no time that you feel like this is the dry season, the fruits are no. Actually, it's supposed to be more, because the watering you're doing and the heat coming makes the plants to be quicker than when it is very cold. So it's continual. When it is raining, we don't water. So you're supposed to regulate like that. So every time you're supposed to have standard fruiting. It's not less. If you are harvesting less, then you have not feeding.
There's a problem.
Well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, then you've said. I don't know why I keep touching this apple. All right, let me
I know you're tempted.
I'm tempted, and then I'm just like minded that you're on set. So you've taken us roughly through the planting process and all that. Grafting, you have mentioned. Just what is the process that goes on around this, and especially with apples? And are there times that you've grafted, differently, and you've gotten different results in terms of the fruits that you get?
So okay, the good thing with the grafting is shortens the time of fruiting.
Okay.
So that's why the importance of grafting. We don't do budding on the apple. We do the grafting. So it shortens the time of fruiting. And then, Linda, with your age, you enjoy over 100 years.
Okay.
Because I know you even go to 100 years. Amen. So you will be enjoying harvest and selling. I'm telling you, this business, Linda, I wish you know. I live on heaven.
Know, and I am on your case from now onwards. We are going together. I have to learn some bit of things out of this, yeah? And I'm curious. So do you guys ever get sick because you have apples a day, every day?
We do what?
Do you guys ever get sick? An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
We have it in the morning. We have it in the...
Now that's too much.
Not too much. Remember, it's organic.
Yes.
Can't affect you. It's very rare for me to get sick. Okay, for the glory of God, because everything is all about God. But it's very rare. We make juice.
Okay.
We make also, we don't make wine, but the people we sell to them, they make wine.
They make wine.
Yeah, but us, we make fresh juice. So you just, hey, Linda, I wish you know. But the issue is
I should follow you.
Not even you. I know the cameramen, they are looking like,
I know,
you people should finish it.
How many minutes from now? Behind the scenes, my director is saying, hey, we're counting time.
But anyway, they are here. This is for you people.
Yes. How easy is it to make apple juice, by the way?
You just press it.
Yeah?
Yeah, or you blend.
Okay.
Then you take it like that. Then you add. And another thing, we do the bees. You know why? Because of the pollination.
Okay.
So we have some hives. So now, Linda, when you harvest the apples, we get the honey. Like now we have all of them whole mtungi that we harvested last time. We don't do it commercial, but we do it for the sake of pollination. Because when you have the hives or the bees, the pollination will multiply. Because the more trees you have in the farm, so the more successful the pollination is. So now imagine you come to our farm. We make a juice for you. We add honey, which are harvested from the flowers of the apple.
Okay.
We live on a heaven. Yes.
This sounds like too good to be true, but all the same, I think
you.
I would want to agree to that. You know, these things we used to see on the Bible stories, you know, an apple and all that, and we really would wish to get there because it looks like, you know, heaven for sure. So how is the market like now that you speak of, you know, the fact that yes, there's money here and everything, but I mean, probably people would want to understand just how is it? I mean, do farmers come there? Do people come there? You know, you see lorries, trucks waiting to get the harvesting and all that.
Hallelujah to that, on Rory. But now what happens, the market is so big because Juan, Linda, you're always checking on my apple.
Yes.
You are my first customer.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, we have been having overwhelming orders which you have not been able to meet. If you go to the supermarket, you can't find the Wambugo apple. Yes. Why? Because the demand is so big. The people we supply, like we supply in Karen, it's called Karimoni. She is on this because she has some vinegar she makes, so she's on that. Actually, she books before it becomes this red. Okay, we have the Netherlands. We have not been able to supply them, but we are hoping that we are going to expand. As we sell the apples, the fruit, we are expanding our land because we want to do 100 acres full of Wambugo apple. Yeah, because that way we'll be able to meet the target on exporting to Netherlands. So the market is huge because we have not actually no supermarket that has this.
The Wambugo apple.
And we need them.
This is just because of the fact that they are 100% organic.
Yes.
Like someone is not certain about that.
Yes. And now you don't have the capacity to supply now. Because when you come to a farm, Linda, you not go empty-handed. You can't buy the tree and then you leave the fruits. What are you going to tell him? Maybe a man who is coming with the family, he came alone. Yes. You need to go and give this is the plant I've bought, my family, these are the apples. So they always come, and we find that we have a shortage because we have so many people coming because they don't believe. When they come, they say, hey, so this is true. So they find that they carry so many fruits. So, but we are targeting that we are going to do bigger, large places. And also people have embraced, they have started doing the apples. So we are 100% that in a few years to come, we'll be able to supply now, not even in Kenya, outside the Kenya.
As people embrace, do you offer classes for this? Because, well, it looks like it's a good deal. And, you know, sometimes you figure out things and, you know, God gives you this so that at least you're able to enlighten others.
Yes, Linda, we do. Okay. But what happens, you can come to a farm, we take you through, because when you come, you're able to see everything what is happening. Because I may tell you, go and plant. There are some classes we need to show you, or even there are some Kenyans, we are blessed. Most of us, we are farmers. We know, we understand the grafting and all that. But if you don't know, we encourage you come. We also even, actually, I've gone, those countries, Linda, I'm mentioning, I've gone there personally to train them. And actually, I don't charge them. These are godly thing. I don't. I'll take a flight and go to, on Monday I'm going to Botswana.
I don't mean to be tribal, but are you not Wambugo should be a Kikuyu man. Money should come out of this.
No. But then Wambugo is a blessed man. And he has, I'm telling you, he has trained so many people. High profile people.
So can I get training? Can I get training with the, the small piece of land that's
why not?
For free?
Yes. You only train you buy the seeding, you go. So the training we don't, normally, why we don't charge that, unless now you want extra.
Yes.
That's why we give you a certain fee. Maybe my brothers will do that. But you know what, the simple things to run and come to our farm, we don't charge you because we need you to know this is how we do it. This is how it goes. Because now if I sell you a tree and then you just go, what if you go and dry or even die? Because you didn't know there's some basic things. So we explain to you when you're buying, when I bring it to anyone. I go all over. I'm supposed to go to Kitale right now. To go and to explain and all that. I'll pass Siaya, I'll pass Bugoma, and I have to train them. And I don't charge because I need them to do the right thing. You are putting your money here. I don't need you to lose the money.
Yeah, that's true.
No. Yeah, because these are retirement. It's a longer investment. So I need to train you. We need to train you.
Okay, and of course, courtesy of TV47, you get this training for free again. And so I'd love to know, at the level of the Shamba, how much would this go for? I know this is a secret when it comes to money, but just give us a rough idea, because I'm thinking this is now 35 bob, 40 bob, maybe 50 bob in other places. How much would it be if for someone who's coming to, to buy? It should be a retailer or something, yeah?
No, 1 kg we sell at 400.
Oh, so you sell in kgs?
In kgs. And I have, like this one is almost
1 kg will have how many?
Like 9 or 10.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you can even find five. Yeah, 5 or 7 for a kg.
All right.
So it depends with how have you been watering, because as much as the water it carries, it's heavy. So it's normally around 9 pieces to 10 pieces.
Okay.
So a whole kg, let's say maybe 10. So one will be like a 40 bob.
Okay.
But let me tell you, you're taking organic, pure. It's a medicinal
100%.
when you're taking it. So it's purely organic. So when you're buying it, that you're helping your body, even your kids.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's what we say, take care of your health.
Yes.
It is your greatest wealth. And, sifinye pesa sana, yet this is something that will be handy in terms of ensuring that you are well. So why would people want to focus on having, fertilizers, chemicals, pesticides, while they're planting apples, as opposed to taking it the natural way, yet the natural way works?
Okay, I think one thing with us Kenyans, we want to make money very fast.
Okay, so in this case, when you do that, money comes.
Yes, because you need, like now, if 9 pieces will make a kg, people would want 3 pieces to make a kg.
Yeah.
So like they will put some hormones, they put some fertilizers to make this they're very big.
Yes.
So, but I would advise, do it organic, but you live long. Because let me tell you, Linda, the spiritual life you have in your heart, or the godly, like me, I'm born again.
Yeah.
That spiritual, I will go to church every time, I will do prayers, I'll go fasting. So I'm building the inner man spiritually. And there is one man of God said, God will give you good health spiritually.
Right.
Up to 70 years, he'll be taking care of you. After 70 years, Linda, for you to go 125 or 150 years, it will depend on what have you been eating for the 70 years.
Right.
So let's not do the chemicals so much on the food to make it big, to make, like this one, check, it's not around. It's shapeless.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because we have not done any
so when you do something, it becomes round and
of course, yes. Have you ever seen an apple from other countries like this? No. You find it is very... I even wonder, why should we want something circle? When you're eating, when it gets your body is scattered.
Well, after all, it's not going to be the same shape.
Yeah, so let's not mind about the big, let's not mind about the roundness, let's mind of our health.
Okay.
Because even taking this apple, it's all about your health. And Linda, I always say an apple is something, gold is a gold. Because even when God created us, alituweka kwa shamba, he never took us to other towns and all that. So I'm proud to be a farmer.
Well, evidently you are so proud, and I'm also proud of you and what it is that you're doing. That's the reason why we said, what, we have to have this conversation. And lastly, as we get to close, what is the importance of, just formal training and doing research on apple farming and technology if one is to venture into this?
Like now, my father is Wambogo. He's doing another research. We need to have more varieties of apples. So he did the research of this, and by the way, he was proven the best by Kali. By then it was called Kali.
We celebrate him, yeah?
So he's doing another, I think 2 varieties, if I'm not wrong. So we'll see, he's even mixing apple with other fruits to see what can get, what can be special
out of these.
Out of these. So we'll have them maybe in maybe 1 year to come. So, and doing this is having something unique in Kenya. Linda, when I go to Nigeria or Ghana or Cameroon, when they see apple, they see Kenya. There's one lady said, Uhuru Kenyatta is here. Simply because I came with the apple. So when you mention apple in other countries, they will think of Kenya.
Right.
So this is what we want to do. We don't want to do everything that's done by anyone. We want to do unique things. That when, Linda, you are selling this thing outside, you're proud that you're not struggling by selling.
Yeah.
Linda, I know you go to the shop, you try to guess what is kitu haina watu wengine.
Right.
So you feel like on the street of Nairobi, on the street of yes, I am the one who has
Wait until you see somebody with the same dress as you.
You feel like undressing and put it on. So it's the same we want to have in Kenya. Something unique. When you mention it, you think of Kenya. when you mention this, you think it's not in South Africa, it's not in Israel, it's not in Netherlands. You feel like this is Kenya. So this is what we are doing. I've been traveling here and there, and Linda, we'll come here. We'll bring something good.
I am waiting for that day like nobody's business.
Yes,
and sorry, in this case, this is pretty much beautiful, so to speak. Do you think there's much that needs to be done at the level of the government in terms of, just because how many times are we talking about farming? How many times are we calling people to say, you know what, let's focus on this and all that? Do you suppose then there's need for the government to come in handy to support the farmers who would want to venture in this?
I would say yes. Because when you look at Kiambu, they enjoy the milk. When you go to Murang'a, you think of avocados. So I'm thinking, if you are from the government, that is the aspect of the government now, not even that's, the support I would ask for from the government is having some industry, because we need to add value, not only eating, but adding value on this. So maybe having that, I'll call it industry, or some machines to make wine, to make vinegar, Linda. Right. We don't need to import. You import even the vinegar, we import even the wine. Those people who enjoy wine. And also for the churches, as we need to enjoy the natural wine for the church, the sacrament we take under those wine. So we need these ones. So they can make for the churches from the natural apple. Then we get the apple vinegar. Like us ladies, we are all over with the vinegars to make us look nice. Yes. So we should have this. So that's the only support I would ask for the government. For us, we will be selling to them. They will be buying from us. Right. So as Kenyans, we will feel like, it's not a must we take these apples outside, but we can be proud. Selling our vinegar to other countries, not only on this, selling the apples. So we'll be able to have something unique that other countries they don't have. So this is the only thing I would ask from the government. It will be so super. Right. Imagining that I'm bringing, maybe the industry will be Nairobi or be in Laikipia, and especially Laikipia. My government,
right close to you.
Bring it there. Because before it gets to Nairobi. Having it there, people coming and bringing the cartons and making the wine, making the vinegar, and making the fresh juice. You get it on the shelves of the supermarket. Little Wambogo, Kenya.
These are the untold stories that we always say. When you tune into TV47, you are guaranteed of the same. I mean, who would ever imagine? I'm sure you're asking yourself, kumbe vinegar inatengenezwanga from apple, all these things that we keep asking ourselves. Do you ever get bored of eating apples?
Linda, no, my friend, I need to. You don't.
Umeharibu hesabu ya cameraman mmoja hapo. Well, it's okay, enjoy.
Akichuka. Naona vile ananiangalia. Sasa umeharibu hiyo ingine. Okay, my friend, I've turned it back.
Cousin Mbogo, it was good having you for sure. Thank you so much for keeping us company. I'm sure you've learned something. You can always get a hold of, by the way, you go on social media, you'll see Mbogo. So if you want to get a hold of them, you know what to do. And you get to pick some of these lessons. That's what we're talking about every day. You don't have to wait for employment. Create employment. How do we get to see you, or how do we get to meet you? How do will that one person would wish to learn something call you or get a hold of you?
So you can visit our YouTube, which is Kate Apple Farmer. Right. Kate Apple Farmer. You'll be able to see some of these videos. We have done in different countries. I've done in Zimbabwe. I have done it there. You can be able to see. And other different counties in Kenya. You can be able to see it there. Or maybe if you want some lessons of some seedlings for you, so supply or the fruits also, you can reach through 0722 284 176 0722 284 176. That is my number. Or Facebook, Kate Apple Farmer. You get me there. And more so in the farm. Hey, cameraman.
Kate Apple Farmer could not resist.